What is up, everyone? Thank you for being here. Welcome to the party. We are together again, another episode. You are now tuned in to the 20 podcast, and I am your host, DJ Spider. DJ Spider! Right, thank you very much. As always, this show is brought to you by Beatsource, the music streaming service for DJs that play everything. Beatsource has got all the music you could need for every gig, along with expertly curated playlists, songs no other record pools have, custom edits, and link technology, which is available on Beatport and Beatsource, which allows you to DJ from the cloud, online or offline. It is incredible. I use it personally. I'm telling you the truth. I love it. It's the future. So log on to beatsource.com and get your free 30-day trial, or use our code, the20, to get a free 60-day trial. So enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Hit me on Instagram at DJ Spider on Instagram. I really appreciate all the messages I get from you guys. You support the podcast, you support my live shows, you're always coming out there, so I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the messages. Keep them coming at DJ SPIDER on Instagram. Love you guys. Also, make sure you rate and review the podcast on Apple so we climb the charts. Give us some thumbs up on YouTube. We're available everywhere, so if you're watching us on YouTube, you could listen on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, or vice versa. So check that out, all my beat sorcerers. Thank you for the support over the past 3 years. And now, without further ado, let's get into it, you guys. Today is the day, the big day, the massive day. We are bringing you one of our biggest episodes yet. I'm so excited to share this with you. We have two of dance music's most influential artists in the genre's history. Fight me if you don't believe me. Despite being in the scene for over 2 decades, these two artists are as relevant as ever, and they've launched a new group earlier this year called Kx5. They also have a massive show coming up at the LA Coliseum on December 10th. So, I just gave you the info. You know who it is. Recording this rare joint interview with Kaskade and deadmau5, along with Beatport and Beatsource founder Jonas Tempel, was no small task, okay, you guys? I'm giving you a little bit of behind the scenes before we get into it. We dealt with lack of internet, on-location shooting, torrential rainstorms, power outages, equipment breakdowns, deadmau5 getting annoyed at me, of course, and so much more. Maybe I'll give you a little taste. For example, check out deadmau5's response when I ask him how much time we have to record the episode. How much time do you have?
None. Just fucking hit record, man.
All right, so that's just a little, vision into what we went through here. It turned out absolutely incredible. Nothing but love for deadmau5, Kaskade, and Jonas, and everybody. I might have to play you some more deleted clips as a bonus at some point to embarrass myself and give you guys a laugh. But as any true DJ and professional would do, we made this shit happen no matter what, okay? And it was beyond worth it. I'm so happy and so excited to share it with you. This is not your basic music interview, okay? We get into some of the most incredible stories, things that deadmau5 and Kaskade didn't even know about each other. We discuss a range of DJ and production topics, including the best ways to learn how to produce, which I know you guys want to hear, coming from these two insane legends. The definition of a great DJ set, stories about their start in Vegas and how that was a massive shift in DJ culture in Las Vegas, entertainment culture, a story about the biggest tip in the history of DJing, which I think is maybe a world record. Check the story in there. Creating rampages on Hollywood Boulevard by DJing on the back of a truck, and some insane life-changing moments. There's so many legendary stories on this episode, and it's over 2 hours. So strap in, get ready, and please give a warm welcome to our special guests, Jonas Tempel, Kaskade, and deadmau5. Welcome to the show. It's the 20 podcast. We got a special one for you guys today. Next to me, we got the founder, Jonas Tempel, in the house.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
My co-host here.
I gotta hit that cute canned crowd applause button.
Hit it.
We got that. Let's see. Oh no, that was a bad one here.
Oh boy.
There we
Price
go.
is Right.
There it is.
We
There
did
it
have
is.
some Price is Right, sad song. Okay, we got a little crowd here. And, you guys, this is the most incredible episode we've ever done. We got two absolute legends in the music world here, one virtually and one in person. So make some noise for Kaskade and deadmau5, aka Kx5.
Let's go. Here it is. Dude, those buttons.
I can't believe you had that ready.
I got it ready. I got all kinds
slick,
of stuff ready.
man.
I got
Yes, sir.
I got Pharrell,
Blood out.
Snoop, whatever you need. Yo,
Jeez.
thank you guys for being here. I'm sorry I couldn't take you guys wakeboarding like Austin Keane or some insane thing. I was going to see if you wanted to skydive. I didn't know.
Man, seriously, what kind of podcast is this? What? No skydiving?
No, skydiving comes later.
Oh, okay.
That's the part 2, or if you wanted to like fly us around in your helicopter
we could do that.
pilot license.
Yeah, we should
Have
have
us
filmed
jump
this
out.
in the air.
Because I know you guys, when you first came together, you created like these incredible records that still live on within the dance music scene. People can still play to this day and still kind of get the same feeling. What sparked you guys coming back together and trying to start this project?
I don't think it was like an inspiration. I think it was
Right.
just like a product of, what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it was definitely kind of post-COVID lockdown. Like, hey, let's do something.
Right.
Not a whole lot's going on right now.
I got all these beats. What do you think?
Yeah, what are you doing?
That's the most nonchalant answer ever. Like, let me tell you how this started, because I was actually there in the beginning. So Ryan and I were in Amsterdam at ADE, and we ended up after, I don't know, we went out somewhere and we were in a hotel just having this conversation about our careers and our lives. And we were with Stephanie, and we were talking about, like, where am I going? And you and I have been spending a lot of time together, and it was just this, like, I need to get to the next level in this industry. And I literally brought up this because we at Beatport, Joel's music had just come on as deadmau5, I believe. And prior to that, it was like BSOD, and Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a couple of other little aliases that you were part of, but they all did really well. And I just remember talking to Stephanie and saying,
Stephanie's my manager at the time.
yeah,
Should
sorry,
probably throw
I
that
should
in
have
there.
put
Yeah,
some
yeah.
context in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah,
saying,
I was just going to say.
yeah, sorry, I just randomly dropping names in there. I didn't mean to do
Just
that.
Stephanie walking by.
Yeah. So, no, but I said, I think you guys should try to work with deadmau5. And I don't know that was the moment, but I know that was the first time that I was around you guys and we brought this up. And it was like, I don't know, very soon after that you guys started working together. And it was just in my mind, it was the perfect marriage of this, like, lyrical genius and songwriting guy and this new sound, with these big, like, plucky, like, progressive sounds that was brand new. And there's very few artists that we've seen in 19 years of Beatport that come in with a brand new sound. Like, that's pretty hard to do. And Joel did. I mean, he just showed up with a different sound and it worked. And I just think, there was so much success to those tracks. They're literally like, if you're going to do a classic album of this dance music, like, those tracks have to be considered because they were that influential and still are. And I know you guys probably hate playing them today, but they represent so much happiness to so many people. Like, it's kudos to you guys for writing those songs together. But I think for me, watching you guys come back together was that recreation of that initial magic. And I think the music that's coming out already is just very inspiring. That's just me speaking as one person, but I love it.
Damn, dude, I'm crying over here. What? That's awesome. It's good to get it from a different vantage point, because I think,
Like,
whatever,
write this
Joel-
down.
Hearing
for
this
all the
story
other
of, like,
ones.
yeah, I was bored and we decided to do Kx5, like, stop. There's more. There's more
I mean,
than that.
there's honesty in that answer
Well,
for sure.
Yeah.
And dude, it's funny. I don't even remember. I remember us hanging out. I remember getting, like, kebabs later that night in Amsterdam for sure. I remember that. I don't remember the conversation. How I've told it to Joel. I think it was what, Faxing Berlin's 08, 07, 08, something like this. Joel?
Is somewhere around there.
Yeah. Anyway, I heard that track. I can still listen to that track today, and I'm like, oh man, this freaking song is so good.
I wish I could redo it.
Dude, I love it as is. So anyway,
I know, but I wish I could just do the exact same thing, but just
and just
polish
mix
it
it
up,
again.
run it through an Eve,
I have
you know,
that
like,
over.
Yeah,
dude. My song, "It's You, It's Me." Like honestly, like I didn't know what a limiter was when I made the song. It's like the freaking low end is total ass. Like every time I play it, I'm just like,
Well,
seriously.
Good news, man. Neither does 99% of your demographic. You know, I mean, mine too.
whatever.
So you know,
So I
sometimes it just goes to show that the idea is like, you know, kind of more important than
dude, 100%.
sound.
It doesn't matter. I mean, whatever. We can nerd out on like the mastering chain and all that stuff, and that's super fun for us. But really, it's the emotion that you capture in the original thing. It doesn't matter if it sounds kind of crappy. It's all right.
There you go. 10-10 answer. Would ask again.
Would ask again. Yeah. So I just, I remember that night. I guess for myself, it meant a lot, and seeing what's come out of that. And so I personally was super excited that you guys were coming back together to take another shot at this, and actually more formally this time. And so, when we had the shot to put this together for this podcast, I mean, I made it a point that I was going to be here. I came over, I wanted it because, again, how we started this conversation, you guys are my friends and I want to see you succeed. And that's the beauty of like true friends is like, you kind of cheer for each other. And I want this to work, and then when you guys announced the LA show, I was like, wow, all right, this is a big deal.
Huge.
We're not shy.
No, you're not shy.
No, but I mean, you guys you're pioneers in so many different ways, I think. And also you guys have this amazing talent, each of you, to make music that can really touch people deep inside and create this memory for them for the rest of their life, and I think you do that separately and you're able to do that together, so for you to come back and be coming out with these songs, I think it's really important for people. I mean, I even listened last night, I was listening to I Remember, and then I was listening to Escape, and you can hear the connection between both of them, and they both evoke this similar type of feeling, especially with the Hayla's vocals, on the new one. But
she's great.
Oh, it's insane.
She nailed it.
Yeah, it's incredible. I was actually messing with the stems function in Serato last night and you can isolate just the vocal and just the instrumental, and I was putting them over each other.
Nice.
And like putting the pitch, and it sounded pretty dope. But I mean, I think, you guys are, come from that, but also when he told me we were going to interview you, I thought about, I've been DJing in Vegas like 15 years or so and doing these clubs, and there was a time I was a resident at Trist at the Wynn every Friday, and EDM, or if that's a bad word, dance music had not come into the full mainstream of the clubs yet. I think Marquee was kind of booking some people, and I remember the Wynn was like, we're going to make this big push. We booked Kaskade, they booked deadmau5. I mean, I think you guys were some of the first people to break that open. I know Steve Aoki was kind of out there, but he was doing a mix, I feel like, of open format and the electro stuff in a way.
I think Vice was too.
Yeah,
he played like 10 minutes of like house classics.
But I remember like the night they booked Kaskade at XS outside on Halloween, and it was like this huge deal, and it really changed a lot. And when deadmau5 would come in, I mean, it changed. Like I used to play at XS, and then they were like, "You're not playing here anymore. You're going to Trist. This is a whole different thing."
Did you? I feel like you guys kind of wanted to kill us, the dance dudes.
I was slumming out. I was slumming it at Empire around that time.
Right, but then there was a point where you became massive at the Wynn, right? And you had those crazy champagne Don motherfucking Johnson guys trying to get you to play Bon Jovi and stuff.
Living on a fucking prayer, yeah.
Yes.
I think that's still to date the highest paid DJ request. Oh, it's so good. I love that one.
What happened? Can you tell
what you guys don't know is the second half of the story.
I think I know the second half.
So what happened? I remember hearing it.
I've heard it, but it's still good. Tell it, dude.
Have you heard the Talal Farisi half of it, Jonas?
Oh, no, I haven't heard that half. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So this is good. You know Joel Zimmerman, right?
Yeah, of course.
Fucking Joel Zimmerman.
Not this Joel Zimmerman.
That's the agent Joel Zimmerman.
Okay,
yes, shares a name with you.
After all this drama, right? Like, and this thing happening, and the night closes. Joel's on the hook to go get this cash, right? Or chips or whatever, because I'm not leaving Vegas without it. That's how pissed I was at the beginning of it, right? So, so Joel's like sweating it out, whatever. And it turns out, and I didn't know this, right? Joel just ends up, forwarding me whatever, like about 2 days later when I'm at home. And I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I can't believe this happened. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm going to go buy 2 jet skis. So I went out and I bought 2 fucking jet skis. And aptly named them Living and On a Prayer. So I hit up my buddy the other day. They're like about a week later, Talal, who's a Toronto promoter and my partner at Inc.
Okay.
I was like, hey man, you want to come jet skiing? He's like, he's kind of like mad. He's like, no, man. And I'm like, what? Really? I'm like, okay, that's cool. See ya. And then called him about another week later. I was like, dude, you got to come out to the lake. Come on, let's go. Like, let's catch up. And he's like, yeah, all right. I'm like, yo, dude, I just bought these 2 new fucking jet skis or whatever. And he's like, I know. And I go, well, cool. Neat. You want to, he's like, I gave you the money for that. And I was like, wait, what? Well, then you should come out, because I guess technically one of them's yours, right? So
he fronted the money?
So yes. And Joel had to like beg, borrow, and steal from Jesse Waits and Talal to shut me up from fucking reaming them out.
They knew you weren't leaving without the cash. So like, somebody pay this guy.
So Joel's in crippling fucking debt. I have no idea this is going on. Otherwise, I just would have went, whatever, just get it when you get it. You know what I mean? But they take that shit so seriously. And they were like fucking bumming for weeks trying to like basically squeeze blood out of a stone, because apparently that Don guy walked out on a $500,000 tab.
Oh my
you know what
God.
I mean? It was fucking crazy. I'm like, who does that?
Yeah, that dude was a legend in Vegas.
Legend.
Oh,
dude.
everywhere. I would see him in Atlantic City.
For aspiring DJs tuning into this podcast, what's the takeaway from that? You get the money first.
Is,
then you play
Don Johnson shows up to the club and says, hey, I'll give you X to play Living on a Prayer. Just fucking play it. So many weird things are going to happen after that. Just keep living on a prayer on your shit, on your little.
I'm saying
USB
get the cash up front, man.
Keep living on a prayer on your USB. Get the cash up front. Well, now you got Venmo. You're like, Don, how big's your limit, bro?
That's right. Venmo.
Yeah. I mean, when I get home, I want to see 300 subs to my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Exactly. But just to go over the beginning of the story for people that hadn't heard it, you were playing in Vegas. It was unheard of for someone to even be able to get to you on the stage, and talk to you. And this guy is a big high roller. They would bring his name out with cards, and it would literally say Don motherfucking Johnson, like on these cards behind him. And he got to come up to you, ask you to play Living on a Prayer, and gave you how much money, or do you not want to say?
Enough.
Okay, enough. A lot.
Enough to buy jets.
Enough to sway your fucking agent, manager, tour manager, and nightclub over.
Right. But you deserved it at the end of the day, because you're up there doing your thing, and this guy's, trying to control your set from thousands of people. So
not really that's worked not in my favor.
Where my whole
I would have had that residency that Calvin had at fucking at the Hakkasan for years. Big fucking contract. And lo and behold, second night. I've only ever played there twice. I was scheduled to play there like fucking 50 times. Second night, guy comes up in the fucking booth and starts telling me, yo, I need you to X. You know what I mean? Play this, play that. And I'm like, yo, I don't come into your office and slap the dick out of your mouth. Don't come into mine and tell me how to, and just put the fader down and walked out on it.
This is an adult.
And they literally ripped that contract up next day. It was fucking amazing. It was the biggest, Dean was not happy about it.
Why did they rip the contract up?
Because I'm not taking requests.
Just over petty shit like that.
Because
I wouldn't. That was early in Vegas.
This was the beginning.
Culturally, that was a big shift right then.
Now, listen. I think this is a really good moment to point out the fact. Look, deadmau5 and I, we approached this thing very differently. right? Like,
Yeah,
because
you guys
you interview a lot of open format guys, whatever, that are like literally quote unquote DJs. And sure, I mean, Joel's story and they're different, you know, whatever. He's a Toronto dude. I was over here in California.
Right.
But there is some similarity in the fact that when I go and I play like a hard ticket venue, typically I'm sitting around playing songs that I wrote.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of the thing. Yeah, I pepper in a few hits here and there that work within the fabric of whatever I'm weaving.
Right.
Stuff that I'm inspired by. And that's like the cool part of the DJ aspect of it.
Yeah.
But typically it's no different from like going and seeing whatever, Coldplay. They sit up there and they play their hits. That's what I do. That's what Joel does.
They play fucking Metallica covers all night. Like I that's the one weird thing that has always escaped me. You know, trying cosplaying as a fucking DJ. Because Ryan, you're obviously you were a traditional fucking DJ. You went out there and did all that fucking hustle. I wrote Faxing Berlin from a non-EDM fucking, you know, standpoint. Like I don't know shit about dance music. I think that's actually one of the fucking huge contributing factors what kind of made me sound the way I sound. I was not of that world.
Yeah, you weren't approaching you weren't even approaching the
I
production that way, dude. You were a different mindset completely.
Sure. Yeah, so maybe we can all say that was my big fucking saving grace for all this. Otherwise, I just would have sounded like another canned version of fucking X at the time. But you know, I say it all the time. I don't feel like I've ever DJ'd a night in my life. You know, so everyone's like, you know, hey, what DJ set, and then using all this like kind of old school / mid school DJ nomenclature in rating your quote unquote set. You know, the only thing that like spins in my head is like, well, I wouldn't go to a Kiss concert to hear Coldplay covers and Miley Cyrus, and you know, I want to hear that one song that Kiss does good.
So this is, but I'm saying from your audience, typically, this is like an entirely different approach. So that was Joel's approach. Mine was something similar. I just knew, because I was doing the DJ thing. I came up through Chicago, and the way I saw guys making impact is they were making their own tracks. And I'm like, okay, I need to get better at the studio. So cool, I learned how to produce music, whatever. Here's a drum machine, here's whatever. And I spent time and did that. Then I was like, oh, initially I wasn't trying to be this artist guy. I was just like, I just need to make some cool tunes to put in my set that are uniquely mine, and that will drive people to my shows.
Right.
I was trying to get an audience. And then when I moved to San Francisco, that's really kind of when I had this epiphany, like, wow, okay, I'm confident enough in the studio. I can put an album together and I can tour behind an album like a traditional act would, not like a dance music act. I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking more to the lines of stuff that I grew up seeing, whatever, The Cure, Morrissey, whatever, Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
You know, just like from a different
truly
approach.
An artist.
Yeah. So now I was like, this is my opportunity to, you know, because listen, if you're out there copying everybody else, it's impossible to be unique. Like, that's not going to work. Joel's key was that he approached it from, like, he wasn't in that mindset. He wasn't trying to make a dance track. I was just like, oh, cool, I want to write songs. Okay, cool. I know how to like do sound design. All right, cool. I want to do songwriting. But I think the fact that we had different approaches, you know, came up differently. But I think the thing that's in common is there's artistry behind that, right? And that's what made each of us unique. And people then wanted to attend the shows. Oh, I want to go in here and play that song, which now, whatever, 20 years later is actually, it's hard because, Joe, I'm sure you have this, dude. Do you finish Red Rocks and wherever you refresh Twitter like that night or the next morning and some guys on there like,
I am off the social media boat for 5 years, buddy.
Okay. Well, then you don't. Did you have this 5 years ago? You'd refresh it and be like, this freaking guy just paid $100 to see me at Red Rocks and he didn't play this one song. And I'm like, yeah, dude, because I have 12 albums out. Like, I can't, you know, I'm playing 2 hours. I can't fit it all in there, man. It's impossible.
Right. No,
you know?
Yeah, I mean, you dash some current, you dash some old, and I don't know. I've never really been able to take the temperature of a crowd of any size and be able to tell what they like and what they don't like ever. You know what I mean? Which is a DJ thing.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that was the difference of you guys coming into Vegas, how you were saying we probably hated you. I don't think I didn't, but I'm sure some DJs did. I think DJs hated me when I first got to the Win because they just had local people and they're like, who's this guy from LA? Right. So, you know, there's different levels of it all the time. But it was interesting.
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, but it was interesting to see people like, even Avicii and people come in that really were not DJs, and just were artists and had a song that everybody wanted to hear. But then also some of them trying to perform for an hour and a half and DJ, but without.
You guys are over there like, oh, this dude can't even do that, man. Get this guy out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was
it takes years of experience in that field to be able to notice how wrong you are in that kind of thing. It's like, okay, so like when I was starting out, and I got to meet up and hang and share brains with Noisia. That's one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're in this like arena, right? That they're in their own shit. When you start meeting the other kids, like Kygo and Garrix and Zed and stuff like that, it's just you automatically defer to there's really nothing special about them based on their music, which I'm being surprised about, these people like from time to time as I kind of explore them more, but that's only because I have accessibility to these things like Kygo. I hate his fucking music. It drives me crazy. It's like Bed Bath Beyond lobby hotel W shit. But this kid musically by himself, he's a fucking genius player. He's actually really fucking good. And
Right.
and the kind of recourse through my head is like, why are you up there playing this dumb shit? Like, but then you think about it, like, why don't you sit there and play for the Philharmonic, or whatever, well, because guess what? Philharmonic sure as shit ain't going to pay you 200 fucking K a show. Or
That's the answer right there.
like weddings, you could be that guy at the lobby of the fucking Conrad, you know what I mean? Playing away on that piano, that kind of thing too. So they're getting in where they're fitting in.
Right.
That's
smart.
That's the big takeaway.
Yeah.
So I am really hating less of all this new shit because I am so tuned out of, the end product and more tuned into kind of, well, fuck whatever you're doing on stage, because I know what I'm doing on stage and it ain't that fucking special to me either. So
I always kind of go back and forth on this thing, and I'm just like, want to hear your, in that same vein, like, dude, playing festivals sometimes is extremely painful because you're put alongside these people that don't really have anything to do with you. And sometimes you're put in these positions that are extremely uncomfortable. I mean, I'd much rather just play my hard ticket events, right? Where it's like I'm standing in front of a room, whether there's 1,000 or 5,000 or 100,000, whatever, of people that are there to hear me, blend my tracks together and put on a freaking show.
Right.
But it's kind of like you have to go play festivals because, well, one, they pay really great, and that's awesome. But
Yes.
I mean, this is a business that, like,
Of course.
you got to feed a family. But also, I always feel like even when I eat it sometimes and I go play these festivals, I still gain fans somehow. Somebody's out there going like, man, I've never heard this dude. This is actually kind of cool. Maybe I should give him a chance. I thought he sucked, or whatever
Yes.
is happening out there. I don't know. But I think, how much do you hate playing festivals when I hear you say that, dude? Because you get put in these freaking sucky situations where you're playing, like, dubstep by far is the most fantastic sound to hear at a festival because it's like this audio assault on your senses.
Right.
So it works. And then if you're following one of those guys and I'm up there like, I remember. And you're like,
Right,
man,
sounds
this
like
is
the
a
lobby
freaking
stuff.
wrong. I'm the wrong guy.
Let's
right?
take Skrillex on tour, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
Yeah. I
don't know.
mean,
I was just pointing that out because I
Yeah.
think, like, I think we both really enjoy doing hard ticket venues, and that's cool. The Coliseum is going to be awesome because it's a bunch of Kaskade and deadmau5 fans and people that
Oh
like
my
Kx5
God.
and what we've done. And it's like, we don't have to pander to anybody. We could do whatever the hell we want to do.
right. Well, I think that proves,
Yeah, but I would have a hard time quantifying that me playing in between fucking WW and fucking those other weirdos, would kill my buzz so bad that, my set would be shitty. You know what I mean? I think that's just the constant. is kind of what you're doing on stage. What changes is your mental attitude while you're doing it.
Yes. Good point. Thank
You
you.
know?
Trying to keep healthy over here.
So
man.
Have that
yeah,
confidence.
if I turned around and took that same set where I'm like, between two fuckwits, we'll say, and and I rinse that same set in the boiler room, it's pretty cool.
Dude.
And it would have worked either way, but it's just like I was just kicking rocks getting up there. I'm like, fuck man, just
Spider's audience can totally appreciate that because Record Bot kicks out of history, right? So sometimes I'm like, oh man, this section of that set crushed last night.
Yeah.
Then I'll take in the next one. I'm like, oh, I should go into this little 3-5 track, 6-track run where I just like had people like jumping out of their skin. And the next night you're like in front of your audience and they're like throwing Rotten Tomatoes at you. And you're like, what's the problem, man? Last night they were freaking out. Like, you guys suck.
Well, to hear you say that,
well,
you guys of your
how do you quantify suck?
Right.
I mean, that's what I've always said. When I hear someone say your set was bad, okay, great. Okay, now just do me a kindness. Quantify it. Tell me what was bad about it. Was it the beat matching? I can rest assured it wasn't the beat matching because the computer is doing it for me. It's sample accurate, bang on every fucking time. So let's not go about how I was
it's not because you're sloppy.
Washing a pair of construction boots. That's 100% didn't happen. It was like, was it your personal trip on some fentanyl lace shit? Like, or was it fucking
his girlfriend dropped him during your set, dude?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Destroyed him.
I don't know. It's so like I would have a hard time explaining to Kygo what sucked about his shit, other than I just don't listen to that kind of music.
Right. Obviously,
so
you got to make sure
Garrix come off the fucking stage. I don't, watching Garrix come off the fucking stage at Veld this year, I had to say, dude, and mean it, that was a great fucking set. No, I didn't know any of those fucking songs, and some of them were pretty repetitive, and they all sounded the fucking same, but the takeaway was I've never seen Toronto jump up and down like that a lot. So you came here and you did what we paid you to do, and then some. And that's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody left.
Amen
there were
to that,
no
dude.
holes
Seriously.
in the crowd.
Props.
So that's kind of like at the takeaway, right? So I wouldn't say, hey man, your beat matching skills, Martin, let me tell you, man. I've heard some good beat matching, but that particular beat matching, chef's kiss, buddy. Like that song selection, the pièce de résistance was the woodblock thing. Yeah, that was great. No, man, it's just like time and place. Think of a crowd like an ocean, and you're waiting for a good set of waves to surf on. Yes. You know what I mean? You could be out on the ocean for fucking 3 hours,
dude.
catch two fucking waves, and your arms are fucking gonna fall off because you've been paddling all fucking day. Or you could just be out there on a nice day where it's just swell after swell after swell, and you're just back and forth up and down the fucking channel all day.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean that's
you don't
why you
control
guys
the fucking ocean.
You guys are both so good at wakeboarding and surfing and DJing, so it all goes together. You're reading the waves of the crowd, but I mean that is exactly how we do look at it. But I do think that some of those initial, just to go back to the Vegas stuff, like teaches people, even like Martin Garrix. I mean, I remember when he was coming in, they were escorting him in with the security because he wasn't old enough to be there. They would like escort him to the stage. But I'm sure that even as artists and you guys, you probably learn somewhat of how to appease a crowd better or how to surf the wave of the crowd from.
All right, I want to take
100% a bottle service set and a dirty nightclub set.
Right. Well, I mean, if you have some.
Well, no. I was going to take this in a slightly different direction to come back. I think, listen, the red thread that connects all of this is the DJing, right? And really take a step back from DJing. It's really about performing or entertaining. And when I think about the careers of our guests today, one of the things that's quite different in the two is that, Ryan had this, kind of slow ascent in through songwriting, DJing, basically getting on one of the most important labels at the time for that sound and really finding a home there. That label nurtured him. And then there was Joel, who came from a completely different angle. Right. And at that time, you have to really roll the clock back because it was totally different. There was like an ascension to those like headliner spots that went through a certain amount of people. It went through Paul Van Dyke. It went through Paul Oakenfold. It went through Deep Dish. There was like an established. You weren't a headliner if you weren't any of those people.
Those, like big people,
right? And so then Joel shows up as deadmau5 and doesn't wait in line, just headliner.
Right. It's like I'm first in line. Yeah. I'm gonna jump and skip right to the front.
And that pissed a lot of people off.
Well, you know what's fucked up? You know what's really fucked up? That I think is just absolutely unique to my story is that my first show was headlining Ministry in the UK ever. Like, how fucking fucked up is that?
Dude, were that you has always sweating balls that night? What did you like?
Dude, I trial by fucking fire, man. I had no idea what I was
hold
doing.
On. What was your?
I didn't know a thing about fucking DJing, but I knew audio software, and Ableton wasn't even a thing really. So I had to like hack together my own like kind of thing because
holy crap! Were you on the lemur then, or
little fucking Nick Fanciulli is opening for me, and I'm
gosh.
like, he's playing records, and I'm like, I know how to DJ a record, but I'm not really that good at it. Like,
what year is this?
This has got to be like 2007.
Right.
Yeah, dude. This was that era. There was a few dudes like Switch was.
It was
like
crazy.
That. Yeah,
what was your setup though? You weren't using Ableton?
No, I was using 2 laptops, one connected to the analog input of a Zone 3D, and then one connected into the USB input of a Zone 3D. So I had to kind of like nudge the times of that DAW with another DAW too, which worked.
Right. So it's almost like DJing with tape decks.
Dude, so
but with laptops. I'm
dying to know how did it go though? Like it actually worked? Like
it went great, obviously. I mean, like, because that was really my make or break.
And you had the head.
It went fine.
I like that. I had a few. I failed many more times.
You did not. You didn't have the head at that point.
No, I was just the guy that made Faxing Berlin. That's it.
Right.
This is amazing. I love this story. I'd never heard that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking.
But then, like, it was pretty soon after that because I kind of tuned into you around then. But dude, it was so much harder to find you. Like, I was finding YouTube clips and crap, and you were doing the lemur thing. You were doing the touchpad, and I was like, okay, this is some freaking next level stuff. Like, what the crap is he doing here?
Oh yeah, it was like Touch OSC and lemur and stuff.
Yeah, he's launching clips and stuff. I'm like, all right, this dude's on a different thing.
Well, I was very tech oriented from the get-go when it came to the delivery method of the music, because even to this day, I feel really uncomfortable around CDJs just because they're really shitty computers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if you're gonna pay $3,500 for a fucking CD player, bro, buy a laptop. Let me tell you, the processors in those things are way better. For handling audio or storing stuff and all this stuff. A CDJ is a laptop. It just doesn't have a monitor or a very shitty one.
Starting to have a pretty big monitor.
Like, dude, this is funny. When you walked up at Red Rocks,
yeah,
he came up at Red Rocks. He's like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Oh yeah,
that's
I actually did watch that.
That
was funny.
I didn't know what to do with my hands. Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to
just
play
wave
with the cutoff
I'm like,
knob on the?
I don't know. He had one beer. I'm like, hold the microphone in one hand, hold that beer in the other hand. There you go. Now you're doing something.
Now we know where
the
mic.
On the mic and said a bunch of good
stuff. How does Swedish House Mafia deal with that?
I think that's where the heart hands was invented.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, I mean, you gotta I can imagine just building a riser for these guys, right? Like, I work at a fabrication company, let's say, and they're like, "Hey, yo, we need this riser." Right. I'm like, "Okay,
dude.
Yeah, we need risers. That's good. Okay. Yeah, it's got to be 16 feet long, and we need 2 empty 4-foot square white spaces on either side of that. I'm like, well, for what? You're gonna put like, what's the weight requirement? Because I'm assuming you're putting some kind of light fixture on there. No, we stand on there. Wait, what?
I was gonna say, you know what the tech has allowed us to do though? I don't know if you guys,
What?
Spider, I'm sure you've done this. I'm sure a lot
Freed up our hands to do nothing.
Well, not only that, when I'm at a gig, when I'm actually bored, I'm like, how many songs can I play in the next like 30 minutes? Sometimes I'm just like messing around with myself.
Right.
Like, man, I can't stand this crowd or whatever, or they're not reacting to anything. I'm like, I wonder how many songs I can play in the next 30 minutes. Like, how many, like,
Yes,
how
100%.
fastly can I mix in and out of these
Hey,
things?
whoa, slow down, Annie Mac.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hear the Kaskade quick mix. 30 minutes, 30 songs.
Do you remember Annie Mac's like super insanely tight fucking rush hour mixes?
Yeah, she'd
Remember
bump like
those?
how many songs? Yeah, I mean,
Just
Yeah.
like literally like 20 seconds of a, that's even
Yeah.
pushing it. It was like 10, 15 seconds of a song. It was just one after another, after
Dude,
another, after
which
another. I'm
she
like,
was
oh my
copying Bad
God.
Boy Bill. He was doing that in the freaking 80s. when I
vinyl.
came
that's
out to
right.
Chicago. Yeah, with vinyl,
Yeah,
and he
but
was
he was
editing
getting-
on
he was
tape.
getting
Dude, the first
blowjobs.
time I met him, I'm like, what's
That's his
up? Because I
claim to
had it.
fame. That's his signature move.
Right.
Yeah. So cool. Those guys were like, they just have stacks of records next
I
to the
know.
decks.
They just went back on
Bad
tour
Boy
doing that, I
Bill.
think.
Oh my gosh,
a year
amazing.
ago.
It's cool. It's cool to see.
That's incredible.
Yeah, well, that you don't have time to do hard hands and fucking talk.
Right,
on
if
mic
you're
and
mixing
do
that
this
Well,
shit.
that's
those
true.
dudes were
You don't have time.
busy.
So where did things go from that first show then, the ministry show? It went good, but what happened after that?
I can't fucking remember, dude. It's just been
More
such
shows.
A blur.
Yeah, it just went up.
More shows, dude. You know, like I go home and think, okay, well
Right.
that worked.
Right,
Let's
I
do
get it.
more of that, but maybe less sweaty next time. You know,
Did you tweak the setup for the just right from the get go? Because you're like, okay, this worked, but I can make it a little bit better because you got like real life experience.
oh
with it.
yeah. No, I haven't been using the same stuff. Like I switch it up almost every year, but
Yeah.
but mostly it's just hard. Not really so much hardware as it is software
Right.
and protocols to communicate with said software. That's just kind of where I'm at. Like I'm sold and very like hard pressed to think of a way to do a show without a computer screen or an operating system
Which-
like Windows or Mac OS in front of me.
Right.
You know,
Dude, by the way, this is a good opportunity to just say, I think one of the cool things about getting together, and we did our first show at EDC, for me, was like, okay, I'm approaching it from Joel's side. We're not producing our shows. We're not up there performing with CDJs. That's been, I mean, I don't know. I came up with the 1200s and then moved into
Right.
CDJs and whatever. Went through the kind of traditional formats.
well,
Even though
guess what? We only have like fucking a month to even start planning this fucking thing out, so we might have
Yeah,
to
so
defer to that. By the
I was sweating. At
Cascade
EDC,
quick
I was
mix.
sweating. I was like, this is not my comfort zone at all. I'm standing in front of a touch screen with a freaking interface that was actually insanely cool that Joel had designed and put together that was freaking amazing. Where it's all these effects and we can launch clips all. It's
Wow.
the only thing I can really relate it to is like it feels like a DJable version of Ableton.
Okay.
But much friendlier for me. I don't know if Joel, if you did that intentionally, because you're like, Ryan's dumb. I better make
did
this
that very
really simple. Like, I'm dealing with the DJ here. I better make this interface really simple.
surprise UI. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was one of the cool things. I thought, this is cool. I've never done it. I'm up for a challenge. I don't know. I still like to press and, try and move things forward and do things. I mean, whatever. Joel, I think you learned this at a different podcast we did. Like the tour I went out on, the Atmosphere tour, I opened the show singing Atmosphere. The first couple of times I did it, it sucked. It sucked because I was so nervous because I haven't sung in front of that many people ever.
Right.
But it was a cool experience to try something new in doing this. And and by the end I got better. Anyway, so it's I'm just saying,
Never did it again.
it's cool working with Joel because we've been trying different things, putting these shows together. And I think we'll continue to do that. So for me, that's an interesting aspect of it. That's all I was chiming in.
Yeah, but you got to be careful with that shit because that's a slippery fucking slope. For me, anyway. I only push shit when I know in like 1,000,000,000% I have some kind of redundancy layer or something that I could defer to if shit starts to go south with
Yeah,
technology.
completely haywire. Which I remember us hanging out. I don't know. This is a long time ago. Some festival in freaking Europe or whatever, and we're hanging out. And I was like, man, I've been thinking about going to like, you know, maybe a Serato or something else. Like I've done the, you know, maybe I should switch it up. And Joe's like, dude, does it work? The Pioneer stuff work for you? Does it work? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, what are you doing? That's fine. why are you going to try and fix something that's not broken? I'm like, all right, yeah, that's a good word of advice. Thanks, Joe. I was like, all right, I don't need to do that.
Right. Both of you guys are very forward thinking, though, I think. You know, I mean, you've been doing this since pressing vinyl, like he was saying, and you've constantly adapted, both of you, to what is happening in the scene, you know. And I know you're off social media, deadmau5, but there was a time where I feel like both of you were using social media in such a huge way where you were able to post, I think, on Facebook and create a riot in Los Angeles. And deadmau5 was able to find an amazing singer. You know, there's some legendary video of you finding the singer, you know, for your song on Twitter. You know, do you want to
be clear? We didn't start the riot.
What's that?
We didn't start the riot.
A riot. We didn't start the fire. I mean,
man.
Can you describe that story of kind of how that went down? This like
I'll give you the super quick version.
Okay.
I mean, I was still newish to Twitter.
Right.
You know, it'd only been around like a year or two, whatever. I had just gotten the handle Kaskade. I had, I don't know, something like 7,000 or 8,000 people following me at the time. So it didn't seem like it would be a big deal.
Right.
It's the first and only soundtrack where I worked as a composer. I put the soundtrack together for the EDC movie that they had done.
Right.
Came in and asked me, and I don't know, it was a super fun experience, very challenging. Joel, I know you've done it a few times. Like by the end of it, I was pulling out my hair because I think it was something like 76 music cues. I'm like,
Jesus.
Okay, I've been working on this for 3 months. Like I'm kind of done. Like, are we done? Because I'm done. Anyway, they were debuting the movie at Mann's Chinese Theater, and they were like, I was like, hey, it would be really cool because the theater is pushed back off of the street, right? That sidewalk's really wide right there.
Yeah.
So like, what if we got a truck? Because I played it.
A venue.
Well, it's a movie theater, so it's like, I was like, wouldn't it be cool? I just played a moving truck with this massive sound system in Brazil. I'm like, what if we did something like that here?
Right.
For the movie, and I could DJ, and like as people are walking in, it'd be kind of fun and create a little bit of chaos, and it'd be fun. Not chaos. I was thinking, you know, it'd be controlled, whatever, because it lends itself to the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Exactly.
they get the lane closure permit. They're like, yeah. We rent this truck. They put a whole freaking sound system on the truck. As I'm driving to the truck, because I lived outside of LA at this point, I'm dictating to Naomi. I'm like, hey, put me plus big speakers equals block party, blah, blah, blah. This is where I'm going to be, you know, thinking it's going out to 6,000, 7,000 people. Not all of them are here based in LA. Anyway, fast forward like 3-4 hours.
Didn't we post a picture of a door and said, this is where I'll be? It was just a random door and some kids figured it out, right? Because I was there.
I'd have to go back and look.
That's what I think we did. I think
they knew I was going to be at Mann's Theater, right? So
The word got out.
And it just proved the effectiveness of Twitter. And what happened after that, I mean, dude, we're not talking like 5,000 people. We're talking like 25,000 people. I still have people in LA to this day that are like, I want to kill you because I missed my job interview that day. I missed my plane.
God.
Like, it shut a humongous part of the city down.
Yeah.
And I mean, the footage from that.
It was on
is-
every
By the way,
news
it
station.
was probably one of the greatest like 17 minutes of my life.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
I'm not even
Jonas
kidding.
was there.
Yeah,
Oh, you know, it'd be scary though. If you were like a piece of shit fucking politician with a fucked up worldview and you had millions of followers and you did that kind of thing, that'd be scary.
Well,
No
I
one
don't think
would
it
do
works
that.
when it's that big, right? I think the fact that it was like back then, dance music was still very.
No, it was the
niche
perfect
thing.
storm. It was the perfect storm.
It was the
your
perfect
popularity, especially in LA, was just at its like.
It was on the
It
rise.
was the tipping point. It was cool.
It was like a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, being in LA,
Weather's
the movie
They
beautiful.
were
before.
downtown anyway because they were going to go to the premiere.
Wait, how many people showed up, Ryan? I've actually never heard about this.
If you look up Kaskade Riot Hollywood or something,
All right,
dude,
hold on,
just-
hold on.
We're talking.
Okay.
The riot wasn't anything to do.
No.
because I don't want this story
I'm
to get out of
Googling
control.
this
So
right
like,
now.
yeah, no.
I'm just saying you could see
We
the video.
pulled out of the parking lot Ryan was playing. I was in the car directly behind this. On the first block, there was probably maybe 50 kids that found us and came.
Right. Because we're driving to the location, right?
It's
Yeah.
basically
Right.
a
You-
sound
and
clash.
you're the video
You're
of
the Pied
this.
Piper.
Yeah, I'm DJing on
basically
this
like
truck. It's
a-
awesome.
Yeah, it's like a sound
Ryan,
clash.
you literally have this on your YouTube.
Yeah. It's
Well, we put together a little video after it. Yeah, because I was like, well,
There's
this
a big
is crazy.
Function One sound system, and
amazing.
so block 2 goes, and there's a few more kids. I'm gonna say 300. I'm just guessing here. By the 3rd and 4th blocks,
Oh my God,
it was
Riot
out of control.
Showed up. Fuck.
and the cops were pretty cool to us because they, I mean, like you said,
Yeah.
we had the permits.
Yeah.
And we got to that intersection where the Roosevelt is, and those cops came out and they said, listen, we have to shut this down. And we negotiated, because I think at that point we were a block away.
Dude, we're a block away, and I can
Yeah.
see there's easily 10 to 20,000 people in
Yes.
front of Chinese. The roads closed, so they're all the way from in front of the
Mind-blowing.
theater. I mean, it looks like a
So all
festival.
we needed to do is just pull up that last little bit, and probably all of this could have been avoided. But
Dude, this is the thing that's just so crazy about this, talking openly about this, man. I'm like, bro, let me pull up here. I have a huge sound system. I have a microphone. I play 30 seconds of a song and tell everyone to disperse, and
Right.
this is done.
Yeah.
I'm not here to incite problems, cause riot, whatever. What do?
They incited it by stopping
Well,
you, right?
part of the problem was the guy driving the truck's like, I'm going to jail, like freaking out.
No,
Because
really?
the cops, like, it's getting, I mean, dude, there's like 4 helicopters overhead. I mean, just like, I mean, it's just,
so, yeah, it was so out of control. I remember we went in the Roosevelt, went to our rooms, and it was on the TV. So like,
Oh my God.
we knew that like,
it's full live, you know, live coverage they do in LA.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
cut and like, oh my gosh, Kaskade's supposed to be here and all these
Right.
kids, it's a riot. And then they start like stomping on the cop cars because they didn't
That
let me
wasn't the
pull
point.
up.
Of course.
And then it
That
just got
wasn't the
completely out of control.
Well, that's out of your hands at that point. You were just trying to create a fun-
At that point, then the city's like, Kaskade is responsible for this, and the cops came to the club that night and pulled me out. They're like,
No way. I didn't
oh,
know that.
dude, the story got. I'm on the phone with my attorney, and I'm leaving at like 6 a.m. or something to fly through New York to go to Ibiza. I'm playing
my
it.
God.
I'm playing at Pasha like in a day or two, so I'm leaving for Ibiza. My dude's
Yeah.
like, you need to just hide out and get on the plane, dude. But the cops showed up at the club, took my IDs, a whole thing. They're all waiting there, like 10 cop cars. 'Cause I had a show that night.
What, in Ibiza?
No, this a show in LA that night.
I was like, wow,
after
that's
this thing
commitment,
happened,
man.
these guys rolled up and they were like, "You're gonna pay. You're responsible for this." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? if you guys would have let me pull
like,
up,
I would be like, sir, what do you want? Like
Right.
money, my time? What's the recourse for something that's dusted?
I think-
Like that. That
I don't know. I think they wanted me to pay for whatever, all the police overtime, the freaking damage, because a few cop cars got damaged. I mean, it did get out of hand for a minute.
well,
I mean, long after I
but
left.
that wasn't us. I mean, not even close.
Right, but they wanted to blame somebody.
Yeah, they wanted. That's
It was actually them. And
Right, of course.
dude.
You know,
and
I had a similar situation in LA too at the
Yes, at
Apple
the
store
Apple
in
store,
Santa
dude.
Monica.
What happened?
Yeah, the Apple, and then the police all wanted to fucking do me over that kind of shit too. But I guess your lawyer is probably smart, and so was mine. And they're just like, you know what, fuck off. He didn't fucking say, hey, everybody, come over and cause shit. He just did what he was paid to fucking do, and it was just not really handled well by fucking circumstances that be. Not
the
there
freakiest
was no
moment about
causality
it
to it.
for me is, dude, the next morning, TMZ's pounding on my door. TMZ,
Pounding
I
on
want
your-
to talk to you,
oh, wow.
guy. I'm going to talk to Kaskade.
Oh my God.
This is my house. I'm like, oh, I'm not just some guy like playing records at your little local club. This is like a thing now. This
It's a
is
thing.
like, it was a moment where, oh, this is the thing. But anyway, that day, my Twitter went from 9 or 8,000 or whatever it was to 100,000 overnight.
Wow.
That's why I have a Twitter account. I mean, I probably would still be at like.
Would you say
20,000.
that problem that might have been one of the catalysts to your career right now?
For sure it helped, no question. Which is
Well,
such
it
a
always
stupid
helps.
thing.
Like, I mean, if you play for 2, or you could constitute that as helping. But do you think that was like one of the upper echelon of catalysts that helped?
Yes,
I actually think it did too, because to me, it's like full on rock and roll. Like Like music,
Yeah.
and especially
that's
DJs.
rock star status.
Yeah, especially DJs. They don't get that cachet of like celebrity until recently. And at that point, no, that had never happened. Nothing like that had ever happened, really. And so, there'd been incidents like kids trying to get into a show and they like jump fences and stuff and they create chaos, but nothing like this had ever happened. And I would never say that it was a good thing in terms of society. I mean, it was a little crazy how it went
it's a
down.
bad thing. But look, it's like I wasn't trying to do that or trying to create that. And what's funny is I feel like since that happened, there's been 20 guys that have tried to recreate moments like that because they realized, like, yes, that propelled me to some other place. Yeah, you can't. The magic, like, it's just. I wasn't trying to do that. I mean, we were trying to have a good time.
It's actually getting harder to run into those kind of things these days.
Yeah.
By accident or not,
But it was a very surreal thing because, yes, Joel, I was having that moment like, whoa. We get back to the hotel. Jonas is with me. We're turning on the TV. Every channel's got me on. My brother's texting me like, dude, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm in the hospital. He's in the hospital having his baby, his third kid. And he's like, you're all over the TV. The nurses are talking about. He's like, what are you doing? Dude, not only that, what's the hip hop guy that called me? Freaking. And we got a feeling, the other guys.
Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, yeah.
Black Eyed
Will
Peas guys.
Will I Am.
Will I Am
calls me up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you just call Will I Am
My
the
phone,
hip hop
I'm
guy?
looking at myself on the TV. The cops are looking for me.
I'm just going to skip that one.
Will I Am calls me up. We got to get in the studio tonight.
No.
We got to capture this magic right now. I'm like, dude, I think I'm going to prison. We're talking about going to the studio? I'm getting on a flight in a few hours. I'm getting out of here, dude.
Oh my God.
I'm
You're
like,
I'm
how
going
did
to
you get my
Ibiza. I don't know if I'm coming back.
This Kaskade guy. He's a
seen
It was
rebel.
the weirdest 12 hours of my life for sure.
It was awesome.
That's incredible. And I mean, well, what about like using the internet to find other artists? I know that, you have that epic video of you finding, I think it was, what was it, Chris James, for your song deadmau5 on Twitter, right?
On Twitch.
No, it was pre-Twitch.
No, it wasn't. No, it was my
streaming.
own streaming service.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I mean, is that even possible anymore to find artists you like, through...
Oh my God. Yes and no. I tried to organize it a few times where I would occasionally do a thing haphazardly called Mousetrap Monday, which is just basically not doing the formulaic thing. Because if I've noticed a trend on fucking Twitch with the music producers on there, right? They like, I'll review your songs. But then, there's like 80 of these things, you know what I mean? So it's like almost like a content play where there some smaller labels, mid-sized labels are not, I didn't invent the audition, you know what I mean? So it's
Right, of course.
It's just something that, I've noticed it just got like prevalent on there, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's not the play because I don't really want to like nurture a American Idol-esque vibe on under my shit. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, okay, you're gonna come in, you're gonna submit a track, and I'm gonna listen to it, and I'm gonna be Simon Cowell up here and tell you some fucking bullshit advice that you think is so fucking valuable.
You would be good at that.
Yeah, you'd actually make a good Simon Cowell.
Well, it has its moments and stuff like that, and I have no problem sparing feelings when something is like really just dismissive or not that good. But I try to quantify why, at least. That's the bare minimum from me. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, it's not good because, and then when I watch some of these other, like, some people's is like, hey, I'll review your shit. They just pull shit out of their ass. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's like you got to really like kind of compress your compressor with like 80 hertz. And you're like, what are you fucking talking about, dude? And I kind of have a feeling like that, and combined with YouTube, combined with, hi, I'm fucking, this is my video tutorial, kind of low-key ruined electronic music. It's all been like, templatized, because if you're like a 10-year-old kid and you want to learn to make electronic music, and I go to fucking YouTube and how to EDM, I got fucking Carnage's face up there fucking saying, oh, use this because it makes it fucking way, way better.
Right.
You know what I
How to
mean? And then they're like,
EDM.
okay.
It's amazing.
Right,
And then it just kind of homogenizes into this, like, why is this guy uploading videos? Well, he's not doing it because he's a teacher. He's doing it because he wants everyone to go and like his shit and buy his album. You know what I mean? Or some other, any other agenda other than I'm here to educate you and this is fucking science.
Well, I think Joel, what I think you did was actually more beneficial than maybe even you realize. I think there's a curiosity when you're on the outside looking in of like, how does this all come together? You no matter what someone's career is, like if you were an attorney, I couldn't go to watch all your cases and watch it develop, but there was probably 2 or 3 that maybe made your career. In the music industry, it's always a track or a moment, or in your case, a riot, but whatever, like we all have our breakthrough things. But like, I think when you lower the veil and you become, you let the world in, that was actually pretty cool. And
but that's
I
just
commend you
the
for
thing
it.
is like these people, you can't learn this shit from watching and listening to some other guy tell you how to do it. The key to success in this and probably many other fucking dichotomies is to fucking stick with it and endure everything. And these random things will fucking happen. You know what I mean? Like the viral clip, the fucking this and that. You know what I mean? There's some fuckwit that stuck a fucking pen in a fucking pineapple. I'm pretty sure when he stuck that pen in that fucking pineapple, he was going to get signed by Ultra fucking Records 5 years later. You know what I mean? The dude was just like,
booking the
I'm
tour
a fucking
for
idiot. Here's
motivational
my
speaking
idiot
right
fucking
now.
video. Funny, haha. And guess what? My 10 friends like it. And then it just, whatever brush fire fucking circumstances happened, Gangnam Style they didn't fucking write that shit fucking knowing this was going to be an American takeover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, endure. You said it, man. Endure. That's it. That's it. That's the takeaway, man.
That's literally it.
Freaking
and here's the soul crushing
shit.
shit. There are dudes I know that have been enduring for 30 fucking years. And there are dudes that fucking endure for 20 fucking minutes. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
the ocean, it's fucking.
Yeah. But that is interesting what you said about the templates, and things all sounding the same, is that it, in a way, we have access to all this information, all these tutorials, and everybody can learn, and it's so cool, but it is making it all sound the same because a lot of people don't have to go through that experimentation and learning. Even watching you on Twitch last night, you're building this show. I don't even know what you're doing exactly, but you're building something, and I watched you make a bunch of mistakes and go, this isn't fucking working. I'm going to go back. You're learning that program, in real time on Twitch. And a lot of people don't have to do that anymore with Ableton and with the production, the DJing, and go through all that.
So
the same stuff is happening
again,
too.
There's no matter how shitty of a human or non-deserving you are to be a musician, or how inept and dumb you are when you upload some kind of educational material or broadcast yourself out there, there's always almost 99% there is a takeaway. There is something to be learned that is useful, that you were like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. This guy's a fucking idiot. But actually, he did this one fucking thing that, like, I didn't know about. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's learning to learn and not learning to follow.
Yeah, you said something though about everyone following each other, and I think when I talk to young DJs and I'm mentoring or whatever, I mean I haven't had the DJ career that these guys have had, but I still I talk to a lot of these kids, and I tell them to think like, I mean, honestly, the only metaphor that ever works for me is because I think if you stay in the DJ lane too much, it's hard to understand. So I talk about it more like a chef. Like, hey, if I gave you all the ingredients and I gave him all the ingredients, exact same stuff, I gave the next person all the same stuff, I would hope you guys would make something slightly different from each other and you would put your thing on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point of this. It's not to be like, I'm not trying to make the next Faxing Berlin. I'm trying to make my thing and have that work.
Well, dude,
And
if
that's
you
the enduring and the grit that you have to have as an artist or as a performer, is to keep going, is to get the one fan to the 2 fan to the 10 fans, you know.
Well, dude, if you look at it, a lot of these breakout stories, what they have in common is that the artist was offering something unique. That's in the DJ space, and that's in the, there's a lot of that. If you're approaching it the same way everyone else is, like, dude, you're just going to blend in with what everyone else is doing. And I think that's been one of the things about streaming that's been kind of a bummer for me, because whatever's successful, I mean, dude, after Faxing Berlin came out, or I Remember came out, dude, there was like 5,000 guys ripping mouse. Like,
Yeah.
well, why would I want to play your version of that? I'm just going to go play the original. I'll just play Joel's version of that, the original one,
Right.
And I think that, even in pop music now, it's like, my goodness, one guy comes along and then it spawns 1,000 imitators. But really the guys that stick out are the ones that still, strive to be unique.
So my buddies in Stockholm, they always have a name for this, and it sounds better
Stockholm syndrome.
in Swedish.
I'm getting
But
that right
there's two
now.
kinds. No, but I think this is really critical, and I think it comes down to DJing too.
Yeah.
Is that there's two kinds of people. There's tastemakers and taste takers. And the idea that when you're in the booth or you're in the studio, you're creating, inevitably you're going, like he said, you're going to influence somebody,
Right.
and then they become the taker of that influence. And then they might do something with it, and they themselves might become a tastemaker, and this starts to transfer. When you connect the world through the internet or YouTube, and all of these tutorials become the same, the templates and the expectations. Yeah. And I'll tell you, it gets even worse, even for us at Beatport. So, true story, when we first started this, we had this, it's sad, but it was like a 5-minute meeting. Where do we start the preview? So you press play on a track. Where do I start the preview on the track?
Well, it was funny that you guys always started in the middle to me.
Oh, we just had a meeting, and I said, let's move 30% in mathematically, because just developers, you can't say move to the thing, and then they need like a percentage.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So
I said,
I didn't even think about that.
I said move 30% in, and then start playing it. So we took. And you have to understand, when we launched, it was all that historical catalog. It didn't really line up with that timing. And so a lot of times what would happen is you'd get through the break and it was a right to drop, and then our preview would stop.
Yeah.
And people thought we did that on purpose, like we were trying to keep you from hearing the drop.
Yeah, you have to buy the record to hear the drop. Sorry, man.
Yeah. So that wasn't the intent. It just mathematically worked like that. So what happened was the new young producers started changing the way they wrote the tracks.
Oh, to fit into your format, right?
To fit it. So these are like, and then these kids started to become more popular because, inevitably because
people could hear the drop.
Their previews were better. And that's kind of ridiculous, but it's these tiny little things that change in culture and have massive impacts.
Yeah. Well, that's like TikTok, when it was only a short amount of time, or Vine, or anything that was limited the amount of time you could put something on a video.
Yeah.
And then things just sort of adjust to that. And now people are like, all right, we just make these videos that fit vertically on your phone for 1 minute.
I also think it's been really fun to watch Joel with all his synthesizers. Like, I have no idea what all those machines do, but it looks pretty badass on social media.
Well, yeah. Well, and the streaming. I love how you stream on Twitch, building, your lighting and shows and everything together, and just let everybody see everything and just talk to them as if they were there in the room with you.
Yeah. Well, it serves two purposes. One, obviously, it just kind of puts some eyeballs on what I'm doing. And then secondly, I find that if I'm talking to myself or someone, especially when I'm learning something, just saying it out loud tends to solve problems faster than if you were alone with your thoughts.
Yes. No, it's true. Like I watched you doing it.
100%.
Yeah, it was inspiring to me. Like, oh, I totally get what he's doing. He just turns on the stream as if he's sitting there with one other person in the room, but going like, fuck, this thing isn't working. Or, but everybody feels like they're there with you. Yeah, and you're able to work through the ideas and the problems in a, better way and learn it.
All right, so I have a question for both of you guys before we get off of this thing. Have you ever DJ'd a wedding?
I have. Yes,
no.
I have DJ'd a wedding.
Have you?
I've DJ'd a few. Dude, I
never-
get requests like every year because I've written a few love songs in my day. So it's like, you have to come and play this song. I'm like, dude.
$10 million.
How much?
Yeah. Pretty much.
You're like the Powerball.
I've never played a wedding.
No?
Nope.
I have.
Nope. I would say if I have, but I honestly I have never DJ'd.
Would you ever do it?
I almost had him at a wedding DJing. Dude, that weekend you were out of town and I was up there for Ryan Henderson's marriage. I ended up like, you were supposed to come, but you didn't. You got in town like a day later, 2 days later. If you would have come, I would have made you get on with me because I jumped on there for like whatever, 15, 20 minutes, you know.
Yeah, but
you wouldn't have been able to say that. Dang it.
No.
What did you play? Like your own stuff?
Living on a prayer.
I played one or two of my own songs, and then I just play like, you know, whatever, freaking some
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I just went into like Vegas hits.
You know that Ryan's manager lives 20 minutes from my house, and my manager lives 20 minutes from Ryan's house, but we're separated by like 1,000 miles.
We can't make this up.
That's actually pretty funny.
No, I swear to God. Yeah, Ryan's manager lives in like basically my neighborhood. And my manager lives in Ryan's neighborhood.
So you're in LA. Yeah, it's a funny thing.
Wow.
Kind of
You can trade managers for the day. See how that goes.
No, I'm good.
Nah.
Not good. What
Once I saw that watch on Ryan's wrist, I was like, ooh, I don't know about this guy.
He's a flexor.
Speaking of crazy watches on the wrist, you know, I'm sure there was a time when you guys realized, oh my God, I'm making crazy amount of money from this stuff. What's like the most reckless or crazy thing you bought? I guess besides the 2 jet skis from Don.
No, he's got a sick boat and he's upgrading. Dude, I'm stoked on the upgrade.
Oh my God. I literally spent my entire SoCan royalty check this year on a boat.
That's amazing. What kind of boat?
But that's not reckless. That's not
okay,
reckless.
you're right. It's not reckless.
Okay, and he's got a beautiful house,
and I'm going to be out on it all the fucking time. That's not like a flex. That's for
great.
me. You know?
Right.
That's an investment in your mental health, my friend.
True.
Yeah,
nature.
100%.
Austin's coming on.
No, I bought a fully loaded Teague 25 footer, like a surf boat. It is fucking insane.
Yeah,
I just
excited.
like ate
I'm
shit
for sure
on all
coming
the
out next summer.
customization.
100%.
Yeah,
we might have to make some more records next summer. Just saying.
Yeah, well, reckless. The most reckless thing I bought,
yeah,
might be. You know what? I don't know because I feel like I've used everything. Like, you know, but
Right.
reckless is like I once paid $2 million for a car.
Okay,
but
that's pretty good.
I love driving and I
Right.
drove the shit out of it. And, you know, I tore it up on the fucking track. I didn't buy it and say, look what I got, and then
Right.
put it in a garage and never touched it. So I don't think I've ever recklessly ever purchased anything because I think the way that I am is like if I find value in it or will find value in it or it gives me some kind of, you know, fucking use, I'll get it. You know what I mean? But like I've never bought something to have for the sake of everyone but me.
Right. That makes
Dude,
sense.
you're too smart to be reckless. Come on.
What about
All the stuff he's about. I'm not reckless. I don't know.
you? You
I
don't seem
I'm
like
trying
it.
to think of the most reckless thing I bought.
Yeah, I don't-
Probably these tennis shoes. I don't know.
Like I can't see like Elon buying Twitter makes no sense to me. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because it's like there's no way he's passionate about social media and things like this. He's just a fucking weird ass man child, you know, antisocial weirdo that's running a fucking social media company. Ha ha. So it's a joke. You know what I mean? Like I mean I could find better uses for $44 billion, like maybe actual cancer instead of internet cancer or fucked veterans,
said.
you know, shit like that. Little dumb things, you know what I mean? Like, but like that's fucked up. That's when you separate money from power. Because I think we're in positions in our lives, and I can kind of feel it a little bit more as I'm older, is that I don't care about money anymore. Because And I know it sounds stupid and fucking, ooh, look at you, Joel, and your fucking first DJ problems. But fucking, this is real fucking talk. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? So I don't feel any pressure to make more. So when you stop worrying about money, you worry about fame or power. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's like the next tier. 44 billion out of 200 or whatever you have in assets is, when you look at it and truncate a few fucking zeros, it's not that much. And yeah, you could afford a funny fucking joke like that and live very comfortably off of any losses you make on 44 billion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's obviously not about the money. It's about his little virtual fucking dick, and is he needs this validation, you know what I mean, from everybody. And I feel like I need that too sometimes. But
Interesting.
It's a lot of
not
money. 44 billion.
not
I don't
that
even know what $1 billion
recklessly
is.
weird.
44 bill.
Like,
No,
well,
that
yeah.
that is so interesting. I never thought about it like that. When you kind of reach the point where you feel like you're making enough money, you know you're going to make enough money, you're set, and fame and power take over and maybe start to infect your brain a little bit and take away from things that you actually
lot.
want to do.
That's how you can usually tell someone who very quickly made a lot of money versus someone who worked a very long time to get at it. Those people are really easy to spot.
Right.
For me, I guess. I don't know. But it's wealth is a very, very misconstrued concept when you start commingling it with your personal necessities outside of being validated by other people, like things that you actually enjoy. Like, you can love going to space, and you could want to go to space, and you could build an empire to go into space, but not actually do it, and buy a social media company instead. So that's a heavy indicator that you're not very serious about anything.
Right. I
It
wish
was a
you were
good-
on Twitter still to talk to us about it.
No.
It was a good day that when
Yeah,
I was
right.
making
See-
enough that I didn't have to sweat where my rent was coming from. That was a good day.
I love this idea of taxing the wealthy. I love it. I'm all for it. Fuck it. Tax me. I'm wealthy. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
great. I don't care, because I even after all that ass fuckery from the government, I'm still okay. I'm still eating. So are my cats, and I've got the things that I enjoy because they don't cost billions of dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, where did we go wrong in society? Where you know what I mean? All this shit is just tied up in these big entities, and it hurts me most with like the way that music works. And I think, instead of bitching about it, do something about it. That's my whole ethos, right? So since I am the master and fucking controller of my own career and rights and what I want to do with my music, I'm allowed to make a video game version of a music delivery system and do that and say, hey, if you like my music and you like these kind of experiences, here, go buy this for $1 off of fucking Steam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can sidestep a market because I have, over the years, kind of dredged up this construct of fame and notoriety among people that I have an audience to present that to.
Right.
But where would we be if we didn't have 3 global fucking conglomerate companies to reach those fucking people? So it's a twisted fucking mess, you know?
Yeah, I think we're seeing the results, or we're just watching it unravel
Oh, yeah.
in real time at the moment.
I mean, there's 2 outcomes, right? He's going to turn the company around, or whatever the fuck he's thinking, or he's going to burn it to the ground and then say, haha, I meant to do that, which
Right.
is inconsequential to him.
Yeah.
Really, truly. It's literally, he, like, just, you can tell just by the way the guy acts that he just does not give a shit, and that's admirable. I like that. But what I think escapes him and other fucking loudmouth rappers is that there are a lot of unseen social impacts and consequences that these things have. So, haha, I burned Twitter down to the ground. In my brain, that's funny at a surface level.
Right.
But when you start to fucking think about it, you're like, holy shit, dude, you just literally cut off the megaphone that people need to reach their demographics or their truly altruistic ways of communicating with their fan bases or selling their products, whether it's music, art, anything. You know what I mean? It's like when you look at the negative impacts of, hey, let's just delete Twitter and Facebook. Dude, we are fucked. Back to promo only CDs and word of mouth and stuff like that, which I think we have to start getting ready for,
Because it might all.
I mean, dude, you're looking just, I don't know, whatever. The responsibility that people have, dude, the whole Kanye situation, right? It's like, we don't need to go into it, whatever. I think just to me, what you're saying relates to that, because I think you nailed it when you said these people are unaware of the impact that they're having. When they're doing these things or saying these things, whatever, I think they're unaware.
Yeah, but if they were aware of it, then these people they should be locked up. They should be institutionalized if they're fucking aware of it, because all this fucking collateral damage that's happening around them, you know what I mean? From the things they're saying or the things they're doing, you know what I mean? It's just absolutely criminal.
Maybe this is a good time for people to reassess what they're listening to, what they're putting in their brains. I mean, dude, turn it off. My goodness, man. Yeah. Whatever.
I mean, do we deserve this? Do we need this? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right,
maybe we do.
Right.
Maybe this is actually for the greater good. Well, maybe not the Kanye shit, but the Elon shit. You know what I mean? Maybe the world needs a fucking reboot in that one particular area. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's weird.
All right, now that we've solved the world's social issues,
I think the reboot is your guys' show at the LA Coliseum.
Yeah, right. Like and subscribe.
Make sure you leave a comment.
Save the world. Come to our show.
Yeah.
If you're at the Coliseum on December 10th, you will see the
guys
reboot.
Just sit around and make music, and all they do is complain. I hate these freaking guys, man.
Did you think about flying your guys in on a helicopter in this show, or is that possible?
I'm not getting in a helicopter with Ryan.
That ranks up as the most irresponsible thing that I bought. Yeah, I guess that would be my answer.
Yeah, but you use it a lot.
Back around.
I use it.
I use it. And I use
Yeah.
it responsibly, I should say.
You didn't buy it as a joke.
Right.
No, I did not. Naomi's an amazing pilot.
Okay,
My wife
actually,
is an
yes,
amazing
that is my
pilot.
most reckless purchase.
His wife is an amazing pilot.
My
That's
most
incredible.
reckless purchase was a Lamborghini Huracan.
Okay.
That's sweet.
Just because you just did it.
I bought that just to piss off Ferrari. Literally.
That's a quote.
I hate, trust me, that car, I hate it. I hate four-wheel drive Lamborghinis. They're terrible. They're not fun to drive. I loathed getting in it. Like, I did not like it. I had to do it because Ferrari told me to, a long story, Google it, but they told me I had to unwrap my car, basically.
Ferrari.
You're like,
Cease
it's
and
my
desist
car.
on my-
Ferrari.
Yeah,
Broke the
whatever.
rules.
Anyway, so I'm like, wow. And then after some back and forth with my lawyer, they were kind of like, actually, you know what? You kind of have to fucking do it, because this is like, we can't.
Wow.
We don't want to waste resources on fucking
That's
fighting
in the
this. And I'm
purchase
like, you know what?
agreement?
You're
It's
absolutely
in the
right.
purchase agreement?
You know what? Fuck you.
Yeah, don't you
Yeah,
own the
something like
car?
that. So, no, nobody does. But anyway,
Crazy.
trust me,
Wow.
I've been through this. You think I would fold that easy?
No,
so
I'm
anyway.
just wondering. I'm not doubting it, but
Yeah.
that's nuts.
That's crazy.
So the takeaway was me publicly saying, "Okay, guess what, Ferrari? I'm going to sell your car on Craigslist for cheap, and I'm going to buy a fucking Lamborghini." And they're like, go ahead. And then I did, right, thinking I wouldn't fucking do it. So I sold it for ridiculously fucking cheap to someone who really wanted one, and I thought that was great. So I did a good deed. But I went out and bought this Lambo, and Lamborghini. We got talking, and I said, "Hey, can I wrap this up and we'll do the Huracan instead of the Ferrari?" And they were like, "Oh my God, absolutely, please do it." And I was like, "Great." So I purchased the car, wrapped it, and then just literally drove it like maybe 3 times because I just hate driving it.
Dude, is it so low to the ground you have to like stretch out before you get in, or what? Is it just hard to get into?
The Lambo?
Yeah.
No, it just sucks as a car. I'm not that big, so
Yeah, you're
it's
pretty.
not that awkward getting in.
I mean, dude, what is it? Your
Just-
McLaren.
well,
I had to like think about that for a second, but whatever. I have a hard time getting my Land Rover. So
Yeah, I'm just used to getting in cars feet first. I live one of those kind of lives.
yeah,
Dukes of Hazzard.
yeah.
Actually, I don't own a car that you don't have to get in feet first. That's when you know you've made it.
it is.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the life.
When you have to think about how you need to get into your car, that's the life you want. Fucking stupid. Well, whatever. Anyway, look, guys, it's been fun and great and whatever. And good talking to you, Jonas and
Yeah.
Spider and Ryan, as much as I love talking to you. And since we are like a topping, can you please upload that whole bang of tracks
Yes.
and the Dropbox?
I
so
will
can
go
download
home.
it because I literally have 1 week to do this.
All right. I'm only doing
Thank
it
you.
if you promise to send it back to me once you do some stuff. I'm going to go home and we'll upload it.
Absolutely sending it back. Oh, I'm not going to
Thank-
just finish it and say, okay, this is the one we're doing.
I don't like the way it starts right now, so I need to freaking
Don't worry.
do
Like
something.
I will do
like
my
it's
thing
making.
and I will send it back. And
All
then
right.
it'll be
I have
like,
an idea.
either this is great or maybe we could do this.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll load it.
2
I meant
revisions.
to do it last night, and then I just got carried away doing something else. Anyway, I'll do it today. I'm going home after this, so
Thank you
I'll do
so
it.
much.
Where there's proper internet at my house. I do.
Or I'll just
Awesome.
come to your house with my tethered phone.
There you go.
I'm gonna follow you around.
18 hours to load up.
We'll be uploading it from my LTE.
Okay, I gotta go.
All right, yo, thank you so much for coming
Thanks.
on. Thanks for taking
See
the
you, Joe.
time.
Yeah, good catching up, dude.
All right, that was the still image of deadmau5 talking to us, giving us life lessons and gems and amazing
Listen,
perspectives.
The Enduro was a good one, man.
Endure.
Nailed it.
That's the truth. It's the truth. Who can endure the longest? You know, I mean, and you know, how much do you care about something, and how passionate are you really?
Okay, so check this out. Because everyone's got their vantage point, right? I loved
Right.
hearing that Stephanie story because I actually don't even remember that or whatever. Or maybe you were having that conversation with Stephanie. Dude, I had hit him up right around this same time to make move for me. Anyway, Spider, you know how I remember hearing your first?
No,
I was in Miami and
yeah. Oh no, here you can put it.
you can put. Oh, what are we still going and whatever? We don't
Why
need
not?
to. Okay.
I'll
We're in-
record it.
We're in Miami.
Yeah.
And dude, did you win something? You
Yes.
won a contest.
Yes, the winner. So I entered a contest through BPM magazine and
Yes.
Rockstar Energy Drink
Yes.
to send in a 30-minute mix, and Mark Ronson was the judge. And
Yes.
if you win, you get to go to Winter Music Conference in Miami. I'd never been to Miami or
Dude,
Winter
I was
Music.
at the show
It's incredible.
and I saw you play.
That's so crazy.
And I
Yeah.
was like, this is the guy who won the thing.
Yes.
This is cool. He's coming up under Ronson. He's coming up. And like everyone was there that night. I mean, dude, it was at,
Everyone. That was
it
life-changing for me.
What was the venue? I forget.
Mansion.
Mansion.
It was Mansion in
Man,
Miami.
Dude, Mansion had some moments, dude. I had some nights at Mansion.
Yeah,
Wow.
and this was they had made it was supposed to be Mark Ronson, but then they made DJ AM was like, I'm here too, and they made it DJ AM versus Mark Ronson, whatever the verses meant.
Right.
And I was the opener, you know, shitting in my pants, of course. Little did I didn't know you were there, but everybody in the world was there in front
Dude, everyone
of me.
was, because this is when Miami was still like,
This
you
was-
could negotiate it because it wasn't like 100,000 people. It was like 10,000 people. So
Yeah.
it's like when a big night was happening, the tastemakers were all there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was there, saw I heard the story, was like, I got to check this out, man. What's up?
That's
saw the
incredible.
whole thing.
Amazing.
Saw you come out,
Amazing.
whatever, do your thing. I was like, this dude's got to be sweating it right now.
I was freaking out, like, you know, shitting in my pants. And then
were you playing clubs up to that point, doing a little bit of stuff around town type
I
of
mean,
thing? Or were you
yes,
mainly a
sure,
bedroom guy?
but like local, like, you know, I had been DJing 10 years. It was like you said, you know, you go through all these evolutions. I thought, oh, I'm going to be the DJ in a rock band, like it was Beck or something. You know, I thought I was going to have a record label. I would be an underground hip hop DJ. I tried so many things, and I would
Right.
DJ here, you know, in LA, all the clubs, you know, just trying to get by, a few $100 here and there.
Right.
And I would enter tons of contests. I would enter the Scion contest and I would win, but something would happen and nothing would happen, you know, after.
Right.
But this, this was so exponentially so much bigger than anything I'd ever done. Like being in Miami for my first time, Winter Music for my first time, Mansion for the first time.
So and then still a game-changing moment.
It was such a game-changing moment. And then, you know, Mark Ronson able to see me. AM, I had randomly become friends with AM right before that. And it was like all of these things were coming together. It was like a trifecta of like winning that and then meeting AM in Vegas on this random chance and him forgetting his needles at the gig we were at.
You had him.
And he gave me his card and I called him. I'm like, yo, I'm the guy you're just with. Like, I have your needles. He's like, I'm at the airport. I'm going back to LA to do a John Varvatos store opening. Will you bring me the needles? And I'm like, who is this guy? You know, and my friend Steve was like, just go, dude. I'll be here. You know, I was like, all right, because we were DJing like a thing for the, you know, clothing convention. So I go meet him, I give him the needles, and I'm like, here's my mixtape. Like, listen to this at least, you know, as a thank you for me bringing the needles. He's like, all right, bro. Goes back to LA. I'm like, I'll never talk to this guy again. And he hits me up like, listen to the mix, so dope. I got this club called LAX. I want you to come by. And I have somebody that digitized every Ultimate Beats and Breaks record. And like, you know, at the time, it was like hard to get MP3s because we were recording vinyl in at the time.
Right.
Like it was the beginning of any digital thing.
Man.
So all of my MP3s were vinyl recorded in. So I went and met him and all that happened. And then the other part of the winning the contest was to do a show at LAX. So I end up being there with AM and Ronson again. And Ronson's like, how do you have all these edits? And I'm like, I can't book DJ gigs. That's all I'm doing is making edits and remixes and, you know, doing all that. So yeah, crazy.
Dude, but Ronson was so much more involved with the scene back then, right? He was in this in between, like, so because part of it was for me to go on tour with him. So we went all over America to like a bunch of cities. So you know Mark, you're friendly with Mark.
I got to know him.
This guy, man. I mean, watched his career. It's so awesome.
Unreal. Like I remember winning this. We go to Vegas. I opened for him, but he was at that part where. Like him and AM had a residency at Pure at Caesars and at this place Tangerine at Treasure Island. And I remember he would just like DJ with a cigarette in his mouth and play like Arctic Monkeys and like try to piss the crowd off. Almost like you're saying with the 30-song quick mix. Like he was kind of like, fuck you guys, watch this. I'm going to do whatever I want. I hope I get fired. Is kind of the vibe I was getting from he was over this and he wanted to be a producer. And I remember we went to do this show in Philly. We drove back in the middle of the night or something back to New York, and we went to his studio the next day, and he's like, I want to play you some of this stuff I'm working on. It's this girl, Lily Allen, and this girl, Amy Winehouse, and he's playing me this music, and I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard anything like this, and it sounds like it's old school and new at the same time, and you know, and he's like, I got this band, and we got the drums, and they sound like old funk drums, and her voice is incredible, and so I was like, wow, you know, you're going to just go to the next level. I mean, I remember seeing him.
You got to see it right before it. Because
he was still a DJ. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, because back then he was kind of like around in the scene.
He had done like that Nate Dogg, like Ooh Wee song with like Nate Dogg and Ghostface Killah, you know, and it was like this New York guy that was a socialite, dope DJ guy, you know, in the hip hop scene and would DJ all the big people's parties and was starting to put records out in like the hip hop world. And I think probably was producing like a few different artists, you know, coming up. But yeah, then once the Amy Winehouse thing was coming, I think he was like, I'm really going in. I'm making this my thing.
That's so interesting. Really, what was so important for Mark to break was, because he had connections. He was going to be a producer on some level, whatever.
Yeah,
it was just going to be like these cool little, like some rich kid, give this guy some records, whatever.
Yeah.
He A&R'd Amy Winehouse. I mean, somewhere he met Lily and Amy and was like, this is dope. I need to go all the way. I need to say, because I've had a few moments like that, but I'm like, then I'm just going to be like this studio dude. Because I enjoy the road. Like I enjoy performing. Yeah. Which was a process for me in the beginning. I was like, I don't know if I really like this. Maybe I am a studio guy. But then kind of when I got farther along, I was like, I like it. Anyway, I'm just relating it to my own story.
No. I think a lot of DJs and a lot of producers are used to being in this controlled environment, and to have to go out and interact with the crowd is tough.
Well, for me, they work with one another.
Yeah.
Like, as I play every weekend, then I come back and I can work on stuff, and it's like I get inspired and I know what's working, and it's like I've always got my finger on things, what's happening. Oh, these records are working. I should be like using this palette, you know?
Totally.
So they kind of work together. I think they go hand in hand.
But I think he, like you were saying, almost made a conscious decision to step back and be like, I'm not doing these kind of gigs anymore, or this kind of Vegas thing. And Vegas was so different. You know, AM was the king of Vegas at that point. He was the first DJ to get $1 million to DJ for the year. And like, that was so mind-blowing at the time.
What's crazy is I'm not even in that scene at all. And even like house guys, everyone knew $1 million bucks. Everyone was like, holy crap. This dude got $1 million.
$1 million to DJ.
The first time I remember, was it Junior Sanchez or no? Junior Vasquez.
Right.
I can remember reading an article where he got paid $10,000 to play New Year's Eve in Tokyo. And everyone was like, what the $10,000? You know,
for DJing.
This was just like unbelievable.
I know.
And I mean, you know, you think about that now, it's like,
and you think about it just in Vegas terms. Yeah. I mean, I remember, like I was saying, being the resident at Trist. You know, I had to negotiate my deal, which at the time they were like, that's more than we're paying anybody, and is like, you know, 5 cents now compared to the other things. No, it was good. It was amazing. I'm so thankful. But then I remember them going, have you heard of this guy, Calvin Harris? And I was like, and I was playing his stuff kind of at indie, like events, because he had that album, I Invented Disco.
Right.
And it was more like...
Great record, man.
The best. So good. Yeah. But there wasn't very many, it wasn't like that style yet. And they're like, have you heard of this guy, Afrojack? And, you know, Kaskade and deadmau5 and Avicii. And it was like the beginnings of the rumblings. And they were saying how... you know, people are asking for $20,000, you know, or $25,000. And I'm like, wow, that's nuts. And, you know, nobody could believe it. You know, it's like fast forward to like just things people could never understand, the amounts of money that started going into Las Vegas DJ rates, and so kind of all exploded at Chaos, I guess, at that one place.
Chaos, dude, here's my Vegas thing. Whether this gets included or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, this is the longest podcast in history.
I know, it's fine. I'll edit things.
So whatever, completely fine to cut this. But I like to tell this story as many times as possible, because I'm like, everyone's got their perspective and how it happened.
Right.
And here's mine. I went and played Vegas in 07, 08, 09, whatever, and I was getting gigs, and I was starting to get paid. And actually, somebody was smart enough at the time when I remember and Move For Me came out to book us together. It was the first time I DJ'd with Joel, and it was a pain in the ass because he had to have his own mixer and his lemur and all this freaking crap. And I was like, this freaking guy, he can't just play a freaking record, man. Like, seriously, dude. Anyway, I laugh by that now. But Win came to me in the end of summer in the fall of 2009.
Right.
I said, hey, we're going to open a pool, and we want to do it like Europe. Like, we want you to play your cool, freaking sexy house music, because that's what I was becoming known for at the time. And we want to charge people money and make it like a whole freaking thing. And we want to have you come like once a month. And I'm like, I have a better idea for you. Because at this point in my life, I had kids. I had my first kid, and I was getting ready to have my second kid. I was like, I'll come play every single week for you guys, and we'll make it a seasonal residency. No one's done this. Oakenfold had his monthly residency. I'm like, dude, it'll be a seasonal residency, like Ibiza, like what you're talking about. Because I was flying to Ibiza and flying to all these places at that time. But dude, I was getting crummy opening sets at Pasha, and I'm like, I'm killing myself to fly halfway across the world. This blows. So when they came to me, I was like, dude, I was all in. I was like, I'm going to fly out there. I flew out there. They showed me the plans for the pool. I'm like, this is going to be bananas. We actually went on the parking garage and looked down, and they're showing me the whole thing, rolled out the plans. I'm like, look, dude, there's 11 weeks between Memorial Day and Labor Day. Let's just freaking slam it. Like, let's do this thing. And they're like, I'm like, let's do Saturday afternoons. They're like, no. It's going to be geared and based towards locals because it's the local people.
Right.
Because Murillo had that night that he was doing that was on like Monday he would do it on the day after the holiday. Yeah. And it was kind of like, because a lot of locals from New York and Chicago and LA and these places that had house music were moving to Vegas.
Right.
And somebody was doing, I forget who it was. Dude, there was like a Wednesday night that was a house night that was kind of cool that was working. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I was trying to convince them to do it Saturday because I'm like, Saturday afternoon, dude, it's a freaking slam dunk. You'll get locals, you get people from LA, the clubs in LA are like, eh.
Exactly.
They're like, no, Sunday. So we do Sundays. I kind of begrudgingly agreed to it. We do Sundays. That first Sunday, Memorial Day weekend when we opened, I wish we had film. We're stuffed 5,000 people in there. Dude, first of all, I just bought my house down here in Orange County because I couldn't afford LA. So I moved to Orange County when I first moved down here. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to pay this. I just bit off more than I can chew. I was seriously like for months not sleeping. I signed that contract. They were paying me at the time, which was like an enormous amount of money. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
I've just changed my life. Fast forward, that next year we open on Memorial Day weekend. There's 5,500 people in that place. And there's probably about 10,000 people lined up on the boulevard trying to get in. And I come down, and these guys, the grins on their faces, I mean, these guys were like, they knew their lives were going to be different. And like, they're like, we've been at capacity for 2 hours. Amazing. And there's 10,000 people trying to get in here, dude. The line's bananas. Dude, everyone's freaking out. I go on there. I mean, the place is just going. It was like, to me, it was the first inclination of like this EDM or like just people losing their minds. Totally. Like, and it was, you're going to play deep, sexy house music. This is how they're pitching me 6 months before that.
Right.
Dude, I was like, I'm just like, places like, people are splashing water. I'm like, what is happening right now? Because I mean, I had the folder of like, cool daytime tunes for the pool.
Right.
I'm like, scrambling. I mean, dude, I'm like, I'm sweaty.
Well, see, thank God you're a real DJ.
I was just freaking out because I was like playing the hardest stuff that I have, which was like, for me, is like still deep house.
Yeah, yeah.
But it worked, and there was enough fans there, and it was kind of like another thing that kind of followed. Like this was a moment. I ended up signing a 2-year deal with them right after that, and then it's really that summer. So from my perspective, you're like, when did this all happen, dude? That summer is when the Win was like, okay, we need to lock this up. So they locked me in for the next summer. But what they didn't do is the marquee came along and said, hey, you can play days there, play nights for us. We'll have you once a month here at night. So I go to the marquee and I'm like, or to the Win, I'm like, can I do that? And they're like, yeah, sure. Because it was so new.
I was going to say, they won't let you do that kind of stuff.
And the crazy thing is, dude, this was all like social media, word of mouth. They couldn't advertise. Mr. Win's like, we're not going to be like this club.
I remember.
It's going to be the cool, sexy thing. We're not putting your picture anywhere. And I'm like, you guys, we got this many people coming here. Like, we're good for a while, but we could roll this out and really brand it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, dude, this is 2010. I stayed there for a while. Then Marquee was like, we'll give you X amount of dollars to come and do the night and day. And I was like, we can buy a bigger house. Let's move up to LA. That's exactly what happened. I sold my house down in Orange County, moved up to LA, got a studio, and I was like, okay.
That's amazing.
But it all changed my life that summer of 2010, that Memorial Day. I just was like, my life will never be the same after this moment. This is like, this to me, I knew the Twitter thing was a big deal, but this was like solely my thing. These people, a concept that I'm in on, and like I understood. Kaskade Sundays, like I was like, well, I can do this for a while. Like this is a total thing. But then when I went to Marquee, they got really pissed, and that's when the Win went and signed everyone. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, I remember.
Like 40 acts.
Yeah.
That was Z. Remember? She went crazy hiring everybody.
I mean, that's just when it went nuts.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely the Marquee and XS sort of battle that started building things up into that. And I remember that turning point in, your career, but just in the whole of Vegas and DJing and the music, because I remember them, I would go to dinner all the time with them because I'm there every week, and they'd be like, oh, well, we're paying these people like this much. And I'm like, how? And they were like, we already made the money back. It doesn't matter. And then we're going to make another $1 million from these drinks and then this from this. And I'm like, and then I remember them saying, okay, the nightlife has now surpassed the gambling or something. And it became bigger. And I think that's when, because they were saying to me, they were like, we want to put your name on a billboard, but like you said, Mr. Win won't put faces and logos, and there were all these rules, and slowly but surely it started crumbling down. And I think as you built that up and really broke the doors down for everyone. That's what I was saying, that you guys were the pioneers, and you were really the pioneer of bringing that out there and birthing it in a way.
Well, yeah, it was also like Jesse and Cy and
Jesse and Cy, 100% give them props. Jesse was the one that brought me out there. I was doing Dre's Hollywood, and he's like,
dude, well, listen, for sure, props. I'm not trying to take anything away from any of those guys. I think the initial crew at the Win, Sean Christie and a lot of these guys that were there, and I don't want to slide it, but there was a group of like 5 or 6
right,
of us
Ron, Nicole,
that were all in on those initial meetings. But the funny thing is like I was pitching them because I was being selfish. I thought, it could work in Vegas or it might not. I don't know, but dude, you're going to have me here once a month. How about every week? I just was like, less time on the road for me.
Yeah.
So it's an hour flight and you're there. Like, dude, you can go there and come back in the day if you're just playing the pool.
Right.
I was like, this is awesome. I want this to work. I didn't know if it would or not.
It worked out for me. I played a bunch of shows with them.
Oh,
that
yeah,
whole
man.
first year at the Marquee.
Dude, I had all my friends in the beginning because I would be like, yo, give me a budget to book my friends.
Oh, that's the best.
I played 11 of the first 12 shows.
That's amazing.
It's literally like, I tell everybody it was all the benefits with zero responsibility.
It was awesome. Those were fun times when it was so fresh and so new. I think those guys just look back, then the other casinos were all there watching that. And when it worked,
yeah, I don't think anybody really knew.
Build a pool,
Right, build a pool and book the other guy. They were at one point. They're booking people nobody even knew and paying them so much money.
Well, now, granted, I don't know the money that transfers in these moments, but I think to myself, like there was these mono brand kind of nights, like the Garth Brooks or these kind of things.
Right.
These things are worth lots of money. They sell out.
Even Tiesto would do like a night at House of Blues or at the Hard Rock, but it wasn't like how you were doing it.
But then to transfer that whole ecosystem into DJs and actually have it be bigger, I don't think anybody could have predicted that. There's no way.
What changed was, before then, Vegas is where old people hung out.
Yeah.
It was kind of like this crummy,
even
like
the
Tiger
Win
shows and like weird, goofy things like,
Celine.
cool. There were like some club things to go to, but it'd be like 1 or 2 hot spots.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you're driving to Vegas to go see like a bunch of
things.
it just was not as young.
Right.
Then all of a sudden when it became club oriented, and California's never had that good a nightlife. This is coming from somebody from the Midwest. Like, it was different when I came out here. I'm like, everybody goes to bed early and like, oh yeah, because we can go hike tomorrow and the sun's out. And like, it just was a different kind of lifestyle here.
True.
But then when Vegas lit up, it was like, oh, everyone fed into that. And it was young kids with more money and they wanted to party and they wanted to hang out and they'll stay in the rooms. Maybe they're not gambling as much, but they're getting the money other ways. And it just changed the dynamic of everything. And that's when Mr. Wynn got on board. He was like, yeah, freaking put billboards up.
Yeah.
You know what? Put them up on Sunset Strip. And that's when it's just like 2014, 2015, when it got so competitive. I mean, you're driving down Sunset Strip, it's like Kaskade, Swedish House Mafia, Afrojack. Like it was just like this really goofy like thing that got out of balance because Vegas is just
Vegas
cash.
Vegas is over the top in every way possible. Yeah. That's incredible. What a story. I mean, to hear it from your perspective is amazing, and because I remember seeing it all happen and like you said, you pitched them, okay, let's do this, and to this day you're still doing it, and they're still, this is now the format in a way of how it works out there.
I mean, all these venues are built it's certainly a lot more competitive than it was because now there's
Right.
like a million venues out there and a million pools and whatever. And everybody's got a pool and then building a new pool and launching another pool.
Right.
So it became a lot more competitive. And I think that coupled with the interest was so new. I mean, even if they had one song on their iPod from the Kaskade, they're like, I gotta see that guy. Like, what does he do? And what are those things? And it was so much mystery around everything. I think a lot of that's kind of like chilled out a lot.
Yeah.
But this is what people are doing for entertainment. And I think that's a cool thing. I mean, whatever. I think it's been a slow build since whatever. They were blowing up disco records in Comiskey Park in Chicago. I mean, I think this thing's just been chugging along in the underground, and now it's part of just pop culture and what is out there. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, every DJs are in everything now, like Minions and, you know, whatever. It's just a normal thing. Like my son just knows. He's like, oh, you're a DJ. Okay, great. You know, it's not as crazy and mysterious like you said. And even when I started, I remember going to Pasquale's raves, and I would go to Insomniac, the more like illegal warehouse original ones where you had to like get a map point and get a ticket. And I couldn't even see what the DJs were doing. Yeah. I was like, what? I thought they were making the music until I finally got to go back there and see they had all the records and they were putting them. And I was like, oh, it's just like what the hip hop DJs are doing, but they're mixing it together.
There's people that still think that.
Right, that they're making the music. Yeah.
Look at that Pioneer DJ. They're like, that keyboard's weird looking. It's a CD player, man. Like, you know?
Right. Yeah, I know.
How's all that sound coming out of that thing, man?
I don't know how it works. I just know that it does work. I mean, I have a 10-year-old daughter. I think I told you this last time we were here. She asked me if I knew you.
Your daughter did?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
She's
You're
like, Daddy,
and he's a jerk.
do you know this DJ named Kaskade? And I was like, yeah, actually, you know him too. And I showed her that picture that you guys took when she was just a baby.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I guess my point is it's not really about that connecting point. It's just that I think it gets all the way down to the kids now, and it's part of their life. You know, it's in so much. It happens so much earlier. They have access to music, you know, at such a younger age, and I think it's influential, and it's a huge responsibility. You know, like in a certain way, we're like shaping that, you know, the culture of those kids as they come up because they want to go see you or the next you or the Joel, you know, like it all, you know, I think kids especially, I don't think he realizes it, but they really like are attracted to the mouse ears because it's like something they can relate to.
Yeah. I mean, it just became whatever. It's just a new form of entertainment, which is cool. I mean, it's good for us that we're here and kind of here before it was cool, you know? I mean,
well, it validates the fact that you put all of your, you know, everything into making this happen for you before it was cool and before anybody thought it would be anything.
Yeah. I have one last little story that I'll tell because I want to hear your version of this.
Yes.
So
I like this. All right.
For a long time, I took a huge amount of pride in being a DJ. And my family, it's different. So this is maybe 15 years ago. My family couldn't separate because my cousin for a long time ran a mobile DJ company and did, you know, corporate events and they would be like, oh, you're like your cousin.
Right.
Oh, dude.
And I would be like,
you're
every DJ listening to this right now is just like,
it would like kill my soul. And I would try to explain like, no, there's different kinds of DJs, you know, yes, that's a cool life if you can make that work. Like if you can really lock into that local market of weddings, you can make a great living. It's awesome. But I kind of somehow felt I was like working to be towards this, you know, more entertainment, large scale, like big room kind of sound.
Yeah.
That I worked really hard on. And then I don't think that would necessarily happen today because it's become so mainstream and normalized that DJs are out there and it's a legit career.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, I mean, your entire professional career has been a DJ.
Yeah.
Your entire professional career has been a DJ. I would love to hear you guys' like, those cringe moments have had to happen to both of you. Like, come on.
Well, yeah, everywhere I go, I mean, people are like, you're a DJ? That's like your job?
Did your life fail?
I'm like, I think so. I don't know. I'm paying for things. But yeah, I know it's and then there is a lot of like, what's the end game?
Yeah.
I'm like, why? What are you asking everyone else that? You know what I mean? You're like, you work at this place. What's the end game? I'm like, all right, let me lay it out for you. We're on an airplane right now.
Dude, I think it's changed over time for sure, and I still get some of this because whatever, dude. I go to church and I'm dealing with like normal folk.
Right.
And theyey're like, oh, this guy, he DJs. Are you on the radio, like a morning show personality? Or
yeah.
Or
and they're
like,
asking you
do
that.
a lot of weddings and bar mitzvahs and stuff around town.
But that's just what they know.
Crazy.
You drive a really nice car for somebody who's running around town playing weddings. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Yeah, I'm killing
I'm
it.
like, oh, and it's always a tricky thing because, and I wish Joel was in on this part of the conversation because a lot of times when people ask me, when somebody who I don't know, I actually say I'm a music producer or a musician. I write songs, blah, blah, blah. I produce music. Well, who do you produce? Would I know any of the artists you produce? Well, I mainly produce myself. Well, what do you go by? Kaskade. Yeah, I've never heard it. All right, yeah, it's a niche thing. It's younger. You're kind of old, and you wouldn't know. It's dance music. So there's always like, depending on how much they drill down to get to like, oh, I DJ. And then they're like, oh, are you like David Guetta? I'm like, yeah, kind of. David Guetta's like me. I don't know. I think I was before him. I'm not sure. How old is he? No, he's probably older than me.
He might be 2 years older than you. I don't know.
But yeah, it's a oh, my son borrows some speakers. He's doing this PA thing. I'm like, I don't have any speakers. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I had this exact
I
experience.
get that all the time.
I was in, it was when I was at Beats and we were in the UK and we were at this party and they, the president of Beats introduced me to this guy. He's like, hey, this is Paul. You guys are both DJs. You should just hit it off. And I was like, cool. So I'm just talking to this guy, Paul. I had no idea who the heck he was.
Right.
So Paul, tell me about your DJing. Oh yeah. I'm from the UK. I came up, I really idolized the Sasha and Digweed kind of.
Right. So he's like somebody you relate to if he's saying that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, and he's like, yeah, I did a lot of remixes. He's like, but I just could never break out as a producer. As a DJ. So I started doing more remixes and producing, and I stupidly, because I had no idea who I was talking to, go, oh really? Would I know anybody that you've produced? And he's like, well, yeah, last year I produced the Adele album, 21, and I was like, oh, this is Paul Epworth, by the way.
Oh wow.
But that A&R angle of like you have the ear. The lesson for me in that moment was, these guys as DJs, you get trained to have the ear for what the crowd's going to like. Whether you make it as a performer is totally different, but you understand what you have and how and what an audience could be for that song. If you understand that exchange, then you have a huge advantage.
I've met so many producers over the last 10 years that were DJs that segued. I mean, like really big guys that I'm like, whoa, wait, what? You DJ'd? You were cruising around New York DJing for? I mean, Benny Blanco, like all these guys, dude, they were hustling in on the scene. And just they're like, I have the ear, I know how to make the music. Like, cool. Here's some girl who can really sing. Dude, it's like such an easier path for some of these guys to just do that. Right. They already have all the pieces. Benny
is a great example. I don't know. I just thought meeting Paul Epworth was a really grounding moment for me because it was almost like he was heartbroken that he didn't make it as a DJ. Like he was very serious. Like I put my heart into it. I played for all those crappy shows. And then it was like, the dude won producer of the year.
I know it's like album. Grass is always greener type of thing. Probably.
Dude, I've had meetings with guys that are like on top of the world as producers and like, hey man, you think you could help me get into this? And I'm like, what? Are you seriously asking me that? Could you help me get into that? Like maybe I take a couple years off and just like produce, I don't know, whoever's next album. Yeah. Some massive top 40 act. I mean, dude, and I've had a couple of these guys come out and open for me just for the heck of it because they want to like play the records that they made in front of a crowd that's more accepting. And like, there's been some cool moments like that over the years. But it is fascinating. It's like one of the grass is greener for sure.
I think that's the
Yeah, and DJs have that advantage in the same way you said. You're able to road test all your tracks and know, and it gives you this insight into crowd psychology and what's going to work and what's not going to work that they don't have access to. They're still in their studio like, does this sound good? You know, and sending it out, and you're going out like, here we go. That didn't work, or that did work. So I think they see that. But yeah, I know somebody that was a DJ, ended up becoming this big TV producer. He has all these shows. He has so many shows, signed different networks, doing so much stuff, hitting me up. Can I come DJ? Can I open for you in Vegas? I'm like, you don't want to, trust me. Yes, I do, please. Can I do this show? I'm like, I'm doing this for money. This one's not even fun. You know what I mean? I want to do what you're doing. I want to run your show, you know, but they
tell you what the deadmau5 kept saying, what's the takeaway from that or whatever. I said, whatever. Listen, I've had a really good life, and we are extremely fortunate to be able to do what we do, man. There's not a day that goes by that I don't like say thank you. This is amazing. Like the way it happened, my story, and just everything about it. I wouldn't, all that grinding in the beginning, like whatever, man, it all came together. Like unbelievable.
Yeah, but talent attracts
incredible.
Talent. And there's always this, you know, people will come up to me and say the similar things like, oh man, you've been so lucky in your career. And I try not to be offended by that because, you know, of course there's some level of luck in all of this, but it's also, there's a humility in being prepared for those moments. You got the show, you were actually prepared, and you killed it. So yeah, maybe there was some luck somewhere in there, but it's really about showing up and delivering in those moments that matter.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah.
Big athletes are like that, you know. And
dude, I'm not a big believer in luck. You're right. You have to be prepared for that moment and put in the work for 100%. For me, it's more about fate, creating your own fate. Like, okay, cool. Dude, I skunked it many times, dude. I got a piece of stories for days, dude. Me going over there in America, when it had been taken over by Europe, I just straight up stunk it up, dude. Right before Calvin Harris one time, the dude was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. Like straight up, like it was known. I just killed the room. Like,
oh my God,
happened multiple times in my career. Like, but whatever, live and learn.
That's DJing.
When I needed to smash it, I smashed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
No, I like that. I mean, that's a nice place. That's a nice place to end because like that coming full circle of the gratitude. I'm sure if Joel was on here, he would feel the same way. I mean, I feel extremely grateful to have been friends with you over all these years, but more than anything is just what music's brought to my life personally. And it's given me this platform, you know, in its own way, to express all my creativity. I don't know. I think we all end up at a place at the end of these things where we step back and like,
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's crazy, dude. I mean, whatever. It's crazy. I've known you for 20 years and that whatever. I saw freaking Spider's first gig in Miami. I mean, all these stories kind of intersect. It's pretty fascinating, man.
The Beatport thing, I mean, quite honestly, it was never supposed to be what it is today. It was just a proof. Could we do it? And then it became like, hey, I knew at that point I wasn't going to be, you know, at that moment it was more about like Paul Van Dyke and Tiesto, and I knew that I didn't have that. Or I didn't feel like I had that, but I knew that I could contribute in my own way.
As a producer?
Yeah, or as a performer. Like I just, like there's a star power that comes with those things, and I don't think I've ever had that. But I actually had something else to bring. I could bring these ideas and we could make this work. And so I felt like this is the way I could contribute, was through, you know, bringing something like Beatport to life.
Dude, it was a freaking brilliant idea.
Oh, yeah.
At the right place at the right time with the people that could, you could execute. I've never remember, dude, I'm going out to dinner with you and you're pitching me on this idea and you're sending me the deck and I'm like, I think this is going to work, man. I think this is going to, like, I think this is freaking genius, you know?
It was, you know.
And that's pre-iTunes, everyone. Like,
yeah, it was pre-iTunes.
This was not a proven concept.
Right.
By any means. Like, we're going to sell an MP3 of a song. I mean, dude, back then, it's like, if you weren't playing vinyl,
but it was exactly what you said. Everybody wanted to be on digital, but to be on digital, they had to record their vinyl.
Right.
And so we were like, that was actually the first idea for Beatport. We obviously we didn't go down that route, but we thought
you guys were going to rip stuff and then just like get it to people.
Yeah, we thought send us your record collection and we'll record it and then we'll send you back the MP3s. And then we had this. I mean, that was like a few hours of a day.
Right. Then you're like, okay, wait.
And then we're like, but wait, this all starts digitally. Why wouldn't we just get it? Like, who cares about the record part? Let's just go to the label
get it from
and
the freaking labels.
Yeah, just get it
from the
digitally.
artists. Yeah.
And then nobody would give it to us. It was just because Napster was ripping everybody off at that point. And it's a long story. I mean, fast forward to today, and I think it's become this connecting point between all of these universes, and they all kind of work now. And it's an ecosystem, you know. And then we spin up BeatSource. It took a couple tries, but I think we got it right now, and it's working really good, and people are really appreciating it. Now the world's transitioning into streaming. In the DJ booth, that, you know, we're probably still like 5 years until that's really comfortable from an infrastructure point of view. I mean, we struggled with internet today.
Yeah, but we made it work. Like the phone tethered. I did a gig Sunday.
Dude, I can't believe that.
I can't believe it either. But I did a gig Sunday, and it was like I had to have some music that I really didn't have, and I tethered my phone, and I did BeatSource almost the whole time. So it actually
no way.
Yeah, and I didn't have anything, you know, that much stuff downloaded. So yeah, I mean, I think it's the beginning of it, you know.
But it works.
It works, and also like I was DJing Friday night at this kind of exclusive spot, and they were like, we want more Afro beats and all this stuff. And I'm like, I only have a certain amount of stuff and a certain amount of knowledge. But there's this guy, D. James, in London, who's like going to Nigeria now. And he's so tapped in and he knows everything, makes these playlists. So I'm like, thank you, James. Boom. Let me click in there.
Just get in here.
I'm listening to my headphones. Oh, this kind of works. Okay, it's same key. Oh, cool drum pattern. You know, and people look at me, how do you know this? You know, I'm like, I just know it, you know,
because I'm a
genius.
But yeah, I mean, it's I think, you know, yeah, with this link technology and Beatport going into it, I think, you know,
I mean, it's not about it. I'm trying to turn this into a Beatport conversation. It's just more about that you've been around long enough. You started your career on turntables, and we all, you know, if you came from that generation, it was really actually quite hard to learn how to beat match. The worst things that would happen when you were DJing was like, you know, the turntables would get bumped or a piece of dust would fall and the record would skip a bunch. You know, you survived by just keeping going. Then it transitioned a little bit into digital. Then CDJs started to show up, the little ones, and then CDs. And I remember watching DJs, and that was very curious to me. And then Richie Houghton shows up with a laptop running these early versions of, I forget what it was called. There's weird ass software he had.
Yeah, it was pre-track or
before,
whatever.
Well, it was before Final Scratch even. There was another one, and I can't remember, but it was like out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh man,
he was making it work, and it
time
was
coded, like
super cool.
Yeah.
And I feel grateful to have watched all those evolutions, you know. And so I see like the controller culture now. And I wasn't a big fan of it. And then you see someone like James Hype get up there and he's just like ripping it up on this thing. And you're like, all right, you know, it's just your craft. Learn your tools, know your stuff. And I mean, that guy made a name for himself. I mean, he was obviously very talented already. Yeah. Just that endurance, like Twitch stream.
Dude. It's amazing.
Now look where he's at.
It's just cool to see these guys break out from social media. He's one of them that, like, yeah, dude, I don't know. A year ago, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, I think Fred again is another one who's
I'm like
having
looking
a moment
at this thing. I'm like, holy
America,
crap.
Yeah.
A million people are watching this. This is nuts, you know? Like,
right.
Then it's like, I should check out his records. Check out, wow, this is cool. I can use this. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it goes.
Yeah. And it always evolves. Like you said, Fred, again, like nobody would think that style of something would be working right now, you know, and then.
Dude, 6 months I had, since I didn't know who he was. You know?
Right.
And, like,
I went to his show in Denver, and his finale, I don't think there was a dry eye in the room. He was like, the way he touched the crowd and the way
that's how I discovered him too. I DJ'd a wedding last summer, and they were like, we want you to do the end of the wedding. We have a band, so we want to play 30 minutes at the traditional wedding. Then we're going to pop into a bus, and we're going to go into the jungle. We're in Mexico, and you're going to DJ 4 hours of like deep house and like all this stuff. And I'm like, all right. So I had to really like learn and figure out what I was going to do. And they're like, we need this Fred Again song. and it was like, put my love in arms around you. It was like that one. And I was
Which is just a bootleg.
And I got it. I'm like, this song is amazing. But I remember playing it, and it like created this insane emotional moment among everybody.
That's the
and
last song
now
he played.
I can't even hear that song the same because it sounds so like emotional every time I hear it. It's like this.
So at the club, he ended on one of these big emo songs and people just like tripping. They're just
It
like,
was unbelievable.
But he's like sampling the internet and
Unbelievable.
stuff, right?
he
That's like his
samples
thing.
he samples his whole life. He just walks around with his phone on,
Right.
and then he makes it part of his show. All of the samples that you hear in his tracks
It's just,
is just stuff that he recorded on his phone.
it's crazy.
are you guys getting an alert right now?
Yeah, we're all first the power goes out on the podcast and we're having a flood now. We're saying flash flood warning in this area. Do not attempt to travel unless you're fleeing an area.
I'm sending
Subject to
sending this
flooding.
to Joel right now.
Yo.
Your freaking studio. You can't even.
I've also never had this in LA.
He's
Oh
like,
my
you can't even
God.
get internet. I'm like,
We can't get internet. We're underwater. We're in a submarine at this point. Well, before we get washed away, guess we could wrap it up.
yeah, this is awesome. Thanks, man.
Oh man, it was so awesome being able to talk to you and Joel together, and then you solo towards the end, and I mean we hit on so many points, and I think it's just really cool how I think people can learn from all this stuff and just take away so many different lessons from it, and know that as big or as small as anybody is, you're the master of your own destiny, and you're going to build your own value, and you're going to, as much as you put in, you're going to get out. So, and you guys have proved that,
Amen.
And then when we see you at the LA Coliseum on December 10th.
Yeah, come on out. It's gonna be a big one.
Gonna be
We're going
huge.
all in on that sucker.
Oh my God, it's going to be amazing, I'm sure.
He's not.
Do you guys have
screwing
anything planned after that? Or is that the first big?
around. We announced we're playing at Ultra,
Okay.
but it's kind of like we're trying to figure out the rhythm because doing these shows it's a lot.
I'm sure.
It's a lot.
Is it K5 or Kx5? I'm
I
struggling.
think in the beginning I was calling it K5 because that's what we wanted, but there's already a K5 out there, so we're like, we'll just stick an X in between, right?
Oh,
Which makes sense, fine. And we were calling it K5, but then every time we'd go to do press, like 90% of the people would say Kx5 or weirder stuff. I'm like, come on, man.
What's
Kaskade,
the
that
weirder
was
stuff?
K5. Anyway, but yeah, a lot of people call it Kx5. To me, I'm like, I don't care what anybody calls it as long as they are listening, which so far they are. Escape has done awesome. And I mean, I don't know, I'm super proud of the music we've been putting out. So
It's incredible. It definitely, you guys have a magical thing where you can create these songs that, like I was saying before, just touch people inside and like create these moments and memories for them, I think.
hopefully, I mean, that's what we're trying to do, right? Like, not easy. I think that was part of the thing of not getting together. That'd have been a good question for him, but we'll wrap on this. I'm just saying, I remember it's such a freaking tune.
Yeah.
How do you follow that up? It took us 15 years to be like, maybe we can put something out. Almost like hoping that people had forgotten about it. They haven't. I mean, I don't know. Zed still plays it on his closing track every once in a while on his sets. And I see, people post it. And I'm like, here it is 15 years later. And it's still pretty relevant, as it was when we put it out. But so that was a lot of pressure. And I think Joel, both of us were like, maybe we just like leave it. Just let that just be,
Right. Well, I'm sure it's hard to stay authentic and know exactly what you yourself want when everyone's staring at you and thinking something and trying to project something onto you.
Yeah, and I mean, and the fact that there's two of us and we both have incredibly successful careers on our own, it makes it very difficult just even to do stuff like this, dude. When we do press around this stuff, it's like,
right,
he's doing stuff and working on music, and I'm doing stuff and working on music, and I'm going to a show on Thursday. He's doing, it's just like, it's not easy. So
yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens in the future.
See what happens.
We've got those two commitments in front of us, and we're gonna smash it. We're both super invested in making the show awesome. So
Yeah, I mean, both of you, just your single shows are amazing. So together, I know it's going to be amazing. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to
thanks for
come
having us
together and
out.
do
It
it.
was
Thank you for
awesome.
taking the time to be on the podcast and
Yeah,
letting us into your studio. And hopefully we don't have to take a boat out of here.
Yeah, we survived the power outage
Yeah.
and a
We
flood
survived
warning.
no internet. Somehow made that work.
I mean, thank you, phone. All right.
All right.
Peace. Woo! That was intense. That was amazing. That was life-changing, baby. Massive thank you to Kx5, aka deadmau5 and Kaskade, as well as Jonas Tempel for coming on the show, sharing that much time and that much information with us. It was absolutely incredible. So thank you guys, and thank you all, the Beatsourcers, for tuning in and listening week after week. We will be back with more episodes. The 20 podcast is produced by Beatsource. Join us next week for more interviews as we discuss music that matters to DJs. I'm DJ Spider signing off. Peace.